Can be done for those who chose not to evacuate, though officials feel most people heeded the advice to move to higher ground.
Fox's Evan Brown. There are no confirmed storm deaths, but the Florida Highway Patrol says 2 people were killed in weather-related crashes. President Biden just out of a briefing on storm response.
Federal teams on the ground are going to continue to work with the first responders in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina to get people to safety.
The president says he has spoken to the governors, offering as much federal help as needed for as long as it's needed.
And while we're dealing with this latest extreme weather event, I remain laser focused on recovering and rebuilding efforts in Maui.
The president announcing $95 million for wildfire recovery on Maui, funding from the infrastructure law aimed at improving Hawaii's electric grid. Bermuda is getting lashed by Hurricane Franklin, now a Category 2 storm expected to pass near the island in the North Atlantic and to keep churning through open waters. Bermuda could also get hit by Idalia early next week, by then possibly as a tropical storm. America is listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
It's changed how they operate. 71 degrees, cloudy in downtown Indianapolis. You've got a clear radar and a low of 53 tonight. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending at 3:02. The death of a Marion County deputy has led to a complete overhaul of the department's protocols. Donnie Burgess reports.
It's an unspoken truth that when our deputies leave their homes to come to work, they don't know whether they'll come back at the end of the day.
Deputy John Durham was murdered in July. Sheriff Kerry Forstall says at the end of the day, Durham's death is on suspect Orlando Mitchell's hands. But it was a lack of resources and staff that contributed to Durham's death.
Less manpower leads to deputies taking on more responsibilities, which leads to an increased risk, which can lead to tragedy.
It was a Cumberland cop that found Deputy Durham dead on that day, and this is where you would have heard audio. But just after Wednesday's press conference, the Marion County Sheriff's Office received a court order restricting them or anyone else from sharing any part of the death video again. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
One person was killed in a crash in Irvington just before noon today. IMPD says the wreck happened along Greenfield Avenue just south of Ritter Ave and Brookfield Road. State police are understaffed, and that's causing problems when it comes to solving cases of road rage. Ryan Hedrick reports.
They're hiring as fast as they can, but state police still say they're 200 cops short, which is a problem when you have more drivers pulling guns on each other.
The vast majority of them just seem to be a moment of road rage and anger.
Sergeant John Perrine says in addition to the 39 road rage cases involving shootings on Indy highways,
we've had 124 other incidents that involve somebody pointing or displaying a firearm,
which he says is a felony. Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
At Westfield High School today.
Oh, we all had pink one. How great.
That's First Lady Dr. Jill Biden talking to students. She spoke to them about the importance of mental health. The average price you're paying for a gallon of gas in Indiana today, $3.68 per gallon, says GasBuddy.com. It's below the national average of $3.79. Traffic and weather's next. Your time is 3:04.
Oh, how great it would feel to have your 20-year-old knees, shoulders, hips, and back.
You know, you don't think about your pains when you're in your 20s or 30s, but you wish you could get that body back when you're in your 60s. I think QC did that for me.
For Patrick, it started with a simple phone call to QC Kinetics.
One day I was driving and I just heard the radio and I pulled over and took the number and I called them when I got home.
Maybe that's you and you're listening right now. Why wait? QC Kinetics Regenerative Treatments uses your body's own natural biologics to heal and restore damaged tissue without invasive surgery or harmful drugs. And as for the results,
my knees are as good as they were when I was in my 20s. I'm really happy with what happened.
For Patrick, it's like QC Kinetics turned back the clock. Now it's your turn. Call QC Kinetics today for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 317-559-PAIN. That's 317-559-PAIN. 317-559-PAIN.
With traffic on the 5s at 3:05. Good afternoon, Matt Bear.
Good afternoon, Harrison. Looking at eastbound 70 right now. Stop-and-go traffic from Tibbs Avenue to the South Split. Inbound 65 is now dragging from West Street to Meridian Penn. Crash eastbound Washington Street west of LaSalle. We also have a slowdown northbound 65-70 from the South Split up to Washington Street. Traffic sponsored by Isaacs and Isaacs. Were you hurt in a car, truck, or motorcycle accident? The insurance companies don't have the advantage of video proof that they the Hammer may have. Call today or visit roadproof.wewin.com. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
And the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
A mild and partly cloudy afternoon turns into a clear and cool evening with low temperatures in the lower 50s for the morning hours and really nothing else going on other than a light breeze out of the northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour overnight. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Junior Suiters for 93 WIBC.
And I'm Harrison Silcox on The Level on the Go and on WIBC.com.
Hammer and Nigel.
Can you believe these characters are weirdos?
So let's... A lot going on. How you doing? My name is Jason Hammer. Guy Relford filling in for Big Nige today. It's the Hammer and Nigel show. Let's keep it local. Let's keep it here in Central Indy because it's been a busy week, 2 weeks of body cam footage being released to the public, Guy. It was last week where we had the video of the officer that shot a suspect in the back, but that suspect had a firearm that he went out of his way to get from his car and ran with it.
Exactly.
That body cam was released last week. We had the Greenwood Police Department's body cam of the mall shooting released, and we're going to get to that here in just a second. But just a few hours ago, a press conference wrapped up featuring the Marion County Sheriff's Department and the Sheriff, Kerry Forrestal. This was in regards to the July murder of Deputy John Durham, who was strangled by his own handcuffs by some absolute lunatic. So the press conference was earlier. They released a lot of footage, some body cam footage, and Sheriff Forrestal said that staffing issues were a part of why this tragedy happened in the first place.
Two people should have accompanied him two deputies should have accompanied him to Eskenazi when he was charged with murder. Well, staffing has probably got too complacent because we're so short-staffed. People will make decisions that aren't in their best interest, whether that's the deputy, the supervisor. We have changed a roundabout of supervisors so we get a fresh eyes on different sections so that any learned bad habits could be overseen or corrected.
So, Guy, if you're the family of Deputy Durham, how does that make you feel hearing that?
Well, I have a question, which is who's responsible for staffing? Is that purely a budget issue? Is it an allocation of resources issue? In other words, you've only got so many people, you decide where you're going to send them, where you're going to deploy them. Is it a prioritization issue? Because I got to believe that the safety of my deputies has got to be a priority if I'm the Marion County Sheriff, in this case, Sheriff Forrestal. And again, I'm not pointing blame, but that's my question that I have, which is who's responsible for staffing? And when he says they're understaffed, why is that? Is it purely a recruitment issue? Is it a budget issue? Does that mean the city of Indianapolis and Marion County aren't allocating the resources and the finances to where they need to be to keep our officers safe and to keep the public safe? Because this guy was, although very briefly, an escaped convict there for a while.
Very violent.
Very, yeah, absolutely. So I got to be, safety of my officers, my deputies, and the public have got to be my first priority. So to say it's a staffing issue to me raises more questions than it provides answers, because who's responsible for staffing and why are they understaffed? That's what I want to know.
This sounds like a complete cluster, you-know-what, from the leadership of the Marion County Sheriff's Department. And again, there is no media outlet in the city, no show more pro-law enforcement than we are here at the Hammer and Nigel show. But if I'm a family member of Deputy Durham, I'm not real happy with that excuse. This wasn't like this was a guy that stole a candy bar guy. Right. This wasn't somebody that, stole a TV. This was a violent piece of human trash that not only beat a pregnant woman, ultimately shot and killed her. We're talking about a murderer here. So the press conference goes on, and these are the changes being made at the Marion County Sheriff's Department moving forward.
All off-site medical transports for inmates shall require 2 deputies during transport. All off-site medical appointments are conducted using 2 deputies or combination of 1 deputy and 1 detention deputy, never 2 unarmed deputies. Drivers shall radio to the officer in charge of Eskenazi upon the arrival supporting the hospital visit. They'll provide additional security at the hospital during the visit. Presently, additional overtime is being used to accommodate the increase in staffing required to complete this transport. A heart defibrillator is now affixed to the wall inside the Adult Detention Center Sallyport. Vehicles entering the security gate to the Sallyport will identify their agency and the number of prisoners on board. The control clerk will radio processing to the advise of their arrival, and processing will meet the incoming driver in the Sallyport. Strict compliance to firearms storage enforced in the secure areas. As of August 30th, 2023, there are 196 individuals in custody for murder. Assessments began for sizes and appropriate housing to change the entire murder population into red uniforms as an outward reminder of policy variations for anyone charged with murder that leaves the adult detention center. Immediate remedial measures, including our training academy staff providing additional belly chain retraining, and they will also conduct complacency training soon. We are renewing our request for cameras for the adult detention center transport wagons.
So what I heard right there, Guy, was we didn't train our staff very well. And yes, we have a few changes, but what that really was, and somebody in the YouTube chat pointed this out, it's a reinforcement of what they should have been doing in the first place.
Well, that's right. And what I didn't hear, and one of the first questions that came into my mind was, when's the last time you got in a taxi that didn't have a barrier between you and the taxi driver? I mean, that's just standard, right? And that's for a presumably law-abiding citizen getting in the back of a taxi. Why don't we have that kind of a barrier in the vans that are transporting these prisoners? Why was there nothing to protect Deputy Durham? Not only perhaps another officer who's there to control the inmate,
right,
but he's in the driver's seat. This guy's sitting behind him, and there's no barrier between a violent convicted murderer and you with your back to him as you're trying to drive the van. That just seems like way too much opportunity for violence and mayhem when you've got that kind of a prisoner and that kind of a failing of equipment. It seems to me that's a primary question I have as well as everything else we just heard.
And I get the staffing issues. I mean, IMPD, they desperately need bodies. The Marion County Sheriff's Department, they desperately need bodies. I totally understand that. But when you're dealing with a lunatic at this level, again, this wasn't somebody that broke into a house and stole somebody's TV. This was a murderer. You make plans to have 2 people. That seems like that's common sense.
Exactly.
Greenwood Police, they have released the body cam footage of some of their officers in regards to the Greenwood Park Mall shooting that took place in 2022. Now, there are other departments that are assisting in this. I know Southport Police arrived. Beech Grove Police had a hand in that. Some other folks as well. But here's a little bit of the body cam audio that we pulled from the video from the Greenwood Police.
What you need? You good? You want it blocked off from here to there?
Wait, we need to be checking doors on stores. If the gate's not down, check the door. Whoa, 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 whoa!
Anybody in here? Anybody in here? Police department, anybody back here? Okay, come on out with your hands up, guys. Come on out. Okay, come on. You're fine. Come on out. Come on out. Come on out. Just keep your hands up, guys. Keep your hands up. Come on out. Keep your hands up. Keep your guys' hands up. I'll follow behind you. Follow this group. Follow this group.
So that was the police going store to store after the gunman had already been shot and killed by Eli Dickin.
Right.
But they didn't know that the whole situation had been resolved at that point. So they're going store to store, telling people to get your hands up, escorting people out to safety. A little bit of what went on that day.
Yeah, and since I represented Eli as his attorney, I was actually able to see the security video of the shooting itself and Eli's response. And I got to tell you, I mean, I've over 40 years as an attorney. I've spent a lot of time interacting with law enforcement. A lot of that's been good. A lot of it's been not so good. But I have been entirely impressed with the Greenwood Police Department and their response to this shooting and their conduct of the investigation as well. I just think Chief Eisen down there did a fabulous job. I think their officers turned out to really display that they're well trained And I just have nothing but positive things to say. And I think anything you saw in that video or heard in that audio is also consistent with that. That these, these folks, without obviously a lot of experience in responding to a mass shooting situation, with thank God there's not that much experience to have here in Indiana, and what we've had is too much. But what they demonstrated, I think, is a very well-trained, very professional department, and I have nothing but positive things to say. And I've seen things the public hasn't seen, including the actual shooting itself and the initial response when law enforcement arrived on the scene.
And the thing that this body cam footage reminds me of is that as well as Greenwood and Southport and IMPD and Beech Grove all did their jobs there, responding, doing everything right, imagine how worse that would have been had there not been a good guy with a gun in that mall.
Oh, absolutely. And, I went to a training seminar that was part of the the National Association of School Resource Officers that was held right here, and a guy named Ed Monk, who's literally the national authority on mass shootings. This guy has spent 20 years studying every mass shooting in American history, going all the way back. And he put on a seminar about what we've learned from our history of mass shootings. And he basically said, in order to keep casualties under double digits, you need a response in the first 10 seconds. And think about that. You need a response from someone armed and someone willing to deploy lethal, vicious, violent, deadly force in the first, he said, 10 to 30 seconds. And if you don't have that capacity, you're going to have double-digit not fatalities, but casualties in the sense of dead or wounded. And he threw the numbers up. He showed the statistics and all the mass shootings and who died when throughout these. And that is a perfect example. I mean, we had 3 innocent people die in Greenwood. And I never want to forget that, because a lot of people look at it like it's a huge success. And obviously it was, in the sense that more people weren't hurt. We had 3 innocent people die, but that's because Eli responded in 15 seconds. 15 seconds from the first shot the bad guy took. Eli Dickin is an armed private citizen carrying a gun. And, oh, by the way, carrying a concealed firearm that Joe Hogsett wants to eliminate in Marion County.
So does Jefferson Shreve.
And so does Jefferson Shreve, wants to revoke constitutional carry. They both want to limit the opportunity for anybody like an Eli Dickin to do what he did in Greenwood. But an armed private citizen interrupted that shooting in 15 seconds. That's why you had only 3 casualties.
Matt Bear is standing by with a look at the roads.
All right, back crash. This is on the east side, Hammer. We are looking at eastbound Washington Street to the east of Sherman Drive, or after Sherman Drive at Bradley. A vehicle rolled. We do see it's in the right lane, but the whole eastbound side is closed of Washington Street right now. This is like you're heading out to Greenfield or Hancock County. So eastbound Washington Street at Sherman Drive, crash and closure of those lanes. Please stay clear. Eastbound 72 downtown, stop and go traffic from Tibbs Avenue to the South Split. Traffic sponsored by Indeed.com. Need to hire? Find great people fast with Indeed. Their end-to-end hiring solution helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
Man, we got a loaded show for you today. We've got hurricane updates. We've got updates on where Joe Hogsett may have been during the riots. We've got updates on Dr. Jill speaking to Westfield and Mitch McConnell freezing up again. Just a scary, sad situation. So we've got all of that, but we're going to have fun too. You know how we get down here at the Hammer and Nigel show. So stay with us all afternoon. Guy Relford's in for Big Nige. 74 right now at the American Standard Cooling Weather Center at 93 WIBC.
Wednesday, October 4th. Clear your calendar because it's happening again. One night only. Tony Katz.
I avoid the use of the words dumb and stupid.
Kendall and Casey.
They're just strapping you in. Go for it.
Hammer and Nigel.
It's loud, it's chaotic.
And special guests. It's the 2023 edition of A Night with WIBC. Brought to you by Relay Indiana. It'll be informative. It'll be funny. It won't be PC. Tickets on sale now at WIBC.com.
All Hoosier families want the best for their kids, but parents of children with autism face special challenges, and they're counting on Governor Eric Holcomb. Thousands of Indiana children with autism are enrolled in applied behavior analysis therapy centers. ABA centers provide a safe learning environment where parents know their children will be understood and taught lifelong skills. But the Holcomb administration has proposed deep Medicaid cuts that could force ABA centers to close. Kate is the mother of a son with autism.
As a single mom, caring for a son with autism can feel very overwhelming. Luckily, I got my son into an ABA center near our home. Since then, he's learned so many life skills to help keep him safe and give him a brighter and more independent future. It would crush our family if we were to lose this option. Governor Holcomb, you're our only hope. Please stop these devastating Medicaid cuts.
Governor Holcomb, listen to Who's Your Families and ensure children with autism in Indiana get the care they deserve. Paid for by Indiana Act for Families.
Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. Income may be subject to state, local, or federal alternative minimum tax.
The stock market dropped by over.
The Federal Reserve raised interest rates.
Let's face it, investing can feel pretty scary and overwhelming these days, especially if you're retired or close to retirement, which is why you should consider investing in municipal bonds from Hennian & Walsh. Municipal bonds can provide a source of federally tax-free retirement income. Plus, an investment in municipal bonds is an investment in America. Municipal bonds help finance major civil projects across the country, like the Golden Gate Bridge and Hoover Dam, as well as local roads, bridges, and schools. Call 1-800-761-9761 right now for our informative free bond guide and learn how you can earn tax-free retirement income while investing in America's future. Just dial 1-800-761-9761 for the free Hennian & Walsh bond guide. There's no cost and no obligation. 1-800-761-9761.
Hennian & Walsh, Inc., member of FINRA and SIPC.
Hey, Pat Sullivan here, letting you know that when you need plumbing help, call who I call, my friends at Hope Plumbing. Not only are they experts in their field who respect the true value of customer service, they also love giving back to this community, which is evident in their referral program. If you refer a friend, Hope Plumbing will give you a $50 gift card to a local restaurant. Great plumbing and supporting local restaurants. What more could you ask for? For more information about the referral program, visit hopeplumbing.com.
That's Mike saying good morning. It's the best he can do right now. Yeah, not a cloud in the sky. What Mike could use is a fresh start. And Irish Spring Body Wash. The fresh scent of Irish Spring and those sensational Irish Spring suds are just the reset Mike needs. Now he's ready
to go to work.
It's Sunday. Irish Spring. When the spring hits you, you're ready. Pick up Irish Spring today.
Do you need air conditioning service and are looking for a local dealer you can trust, like Marshall Mechanical in Franklin? Find that American Standard Air dealer at IndyHomeComfort.com.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by Pierce Jewelers, Carmel's full-service jewelry store.
The Hammer and Nigel Show.
Boy, there was a party in Westfield earlier. Nothing rocks the house like an appearance from the good doctor, Dr. Jill Biden, the First Lady and the Surgeon General, visited Westfield High School to talk about mental health resources for students earlier, Guy. And the thing that's weird, and I heard Rob talking about this earlier today, we mentioned it yesterday, this was kind of kept secret. Like, Westfield knew she was coming. Dr. Jill, the good doctor, knew she was going to go there, but nobody wanted to promote this. Why would you not promote this?
Well, security is the first thing that pops into my mind, right? Are they just worried about giving too much advance notice? Like, they try to keep the president's agenda, hidden until the very last second so people can't prepare perhaps some kind of an attack on the president or the first lady. I wouldn't think in Westfield, Indiana, Jill Biden would be a real prime target for some kind of criminal activity, but that's the first thing that pops into my mind.
See, the first thing that I thought of was they don't want to get booed. They view Indiana as a red state, right? And even though Westfield's a little, Indiana, the Biden administration looks at that as a very red state. And I don't think they wanted the Hawaii response, where even Hawaii was a blue state. But when Joe Biden walked over there to look at the damage from the fires, he got the FJB chant, and they were booing him out of the state.
Yeah. Or when Jill went to Texas, wasn't it Jill who went down there and said, our immigrants down here have all the wonderful variety of Mexican tamales or some crazy thing? I mean, she said something that was completely offensive to anyone. So I don't know.
Which is on par with what her husband does every day.
Well, yeah, no, exactly right. But I don't know. I can't think of any legitimate reason. The one you mentioned probably makes the most sense, which is just not wanting to have a negative reaction from the local citizenry.
Now, there's a lot of people that are saying, why are you talking about mental health to high school students? Are you going to push some sort of government thing onto the students? I didn't take it that way at all.
No.
To be honest, who else better than Jill Biden, the person married to Joe Biden, is there in this country to speak about the early signs of mental decline?
I got hairy legs that turn that turn blonde in the sun.
I mean, that's who you want, right? If you're going to talk about, how to detect early signs of mental decline, you want the good doctor because she sees it every day.
Yeah. By the way, I do have to throw out my stepdaughter is a student at Westfield High School, and she was one of the founders of a group called Robbie's Hope, and is based on a teen that had committed suicide, and it's all about suicide prevention. And she was actually one of the people who got to meet with the First Lady today. So on just a personal family note, it was kind of a neat experience for her.
So we're going to do choose your own adventure here, Guy. We've got time for one more story.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about Subway restaurants now having a blimp? Or do you want to talk about a scandal in chess that involved anal beads?
When can you ever turn down the anal bead discussion?
See, Kylan, that's exactly what Kylan said during the commercial break. 100% spot on. So about a year ago, there was this scandal in chess. Like the greatest chess player in the world got beat by some scrub, and there were some cheating allegations. The number one guy thought that the scrub that beat him was cheating by having electronic anal beads, and people who were watching the match remotely were sending him a little shock, little bzzz, to let him know exactly what moves to make.
So this is like a code, like knight to queen's 4 or something. He's getting this through electronic stimulating anal beads.
Like the Houston Astros would bang a can. This guy would get a shot right in the old backside. Well, it turns out the guy has been cleared of any wrongdoing. He has been cleared of using vibrating anal beads. That is the good news.
Well, to cheat. It doesn't mean he wasn't using them. Perhaps he was just able to establish this as his personal relaxation method,
right?
And this is what allows him to play the best possible chess. I don't know.
What if he wears them all the time?
Yeah, I mean,
going to Kroger, going to church, going to go play some chess. These are just kind of my thing. But do you really win though when this story has to come back out in the media?
Yeah, exactly.
We talked about it a year ago. We're talking about it again, and now this guy. Hans Niemann, the chess guy, cleared of using electronic shocking anal beads, Guy.
To cheat.
To cheat.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, no news is good news when it comes to public disclosure of your electronic anal beads.
We probably should have done the Subway blimp story instead.
Yeah, it's not named Jared, is it?
Stop it! Stop it! It's the Hammer and Nigel show.
Did you know you could pay taxes on as much as 85% of your Social Security benefits? That's right, 85%. And these taxes could take a huge chunk of money you were counting on for retirement. Hello there, it's Terry Stacy. Learn how you could avoid this in a free report. 3 retirement tax traps that could wipe out your savings. It's from Bill Demery, who's been my retirement guy for years now, helping David and I and my parents. This free report reveals 3 retirement tax traps that could wipe out your hard-earned savings. Get your free copy right now by calling 317-349-5212. The last thing you need in retirement is a surprise tax bill. So get your free report right now by calling 317-349-5212. That's 317-349-5212.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 nerve care company. Nervive tablets contain alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, plus B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com. And try Nervive Pain Relieving Cream to block nerve pain signals at the source. Use as directed.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
They're blaming staffing issues. 76 degrees, sunny in downtown Indianapolis. Snow, rain on your radar. Lows down to the mid-50s tonight. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending at 3:30. A lack of resources and staffing contributed to the death of a Marion County deputy, says the sheriff. Donnie Burgess has the story.
Just so you know, there's like 80 views down there, and at the best day, we have 4 people watching it.
That's people watching security cameras at the Criminal Justice Center, says Sheriff Kerry Forstall. Deputy John Durham was murdered at the center back in July. 2 deputies were supposed to be with Durham that day, but he was all alone. Several policy changes have been made since.
While no number of protocols or additional staff can eliminate all risk, we're firmer to our commitment to make meaningful changes to reflect our dedication to continuous improvement and, most importantly, honor the memory of the life we lost.
A court order was filed Wednesday restricting anyone from using any parts of John Durham's death video again without permission. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
State police say they're understaffed, and it's causing issues when it comes to solving cases of road rage.
We're hiring just as quickly as we possibly can. Our recruiting efforts are increasing substantially so that we can fill those vacant roles to increase those road patrols where we need it.
Sergeant John Perrine says more than 120 cases have been reported of people pointing guns at each other in road rage incidents. A small prop plane lost power over Kosciuszko County and had to make an emergency landing south of Warsaw Tuesday. Robert Holler II was in the cockpit and was able to land the plane without anybody getting hurt. The FAA is investigating. Hurricane Idalia is crossing into Georgia today. Governor Brian Kemp says the storm's already impacting his state.
We've got about 61,000 without power right now that we know of. We have folks standing by and ready to move as soon as it's safe to do so.
The storm moved across northeast Florida and into the southeastern part of Georgia as a Category 1. Responding to back-to-back disasters in Maui and Florida is costing FEMA money, and it's hurting their budget.
We are monitoring it very closely, right? Every day we are looking at what the cost of these storms are as we approach the end of this fiscal year. And if we have another storm, we're going to have to closely monitor what impact that's going to have and any other actions we might have to take.
FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell is asking Congress for $12 billion to help them get through the rest of the fiscal year. You're 1 minute away from traffic and weather. It's 3:33.
Hey, it's Hammer and Nigel for Window Nation. Feeling the heat? High temps aren't the only thing getting you hot under the collar. Wait till you see your energy bills. The solution? I recommend my friends at Window Nation for new energy-efficient windows. Your home stays comfortable and cool, and you will save on those high energy bills. Not to mention the incredible savings Window Nation is offering right now.
Get 50% off any style window. Bows, bays, double hangs, sliders, 50% off. Plus, put $0 down and make 0 payments with 0% interest for 24 months. And this week only, receive an additional 10% off. So, maintain your chill, lower your bill, and fill your home with new Window Nation windows. Get 50% off all style windows and pay nothing for 2 years. 866-90-NATION. Call this week, get an additional 10% off. 866-90-NATION or go to windownation.com. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
With traffic at 3:34, here's Matt Bear.
All right, Harrison, on the east side, eastbound Washington Street shut down at Sherman Drive because of a vehicle that's inverted in the right lane. They closed the eastbound side. Westbound is open, but it looks like you will be diverted at Sherman Drive heading out towards the east side further. Also, eastbound 70 on downtown stop-and-go traffic from Harding Street to Meridian, Illinois. Traffic sponsored by IU Health 24/7 ER Care for Kids, available at Riley Children's Health at IU Health North in Carmel. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
And the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
A mild and partly cloudy afternoon turns into a clear and cool evening with low temperatures in the lower 50s for the morning hours and really nothing else going on other than a light breeze out of the northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour overnight. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Junior Suiters for 93 WIBC.
And I'm Harrison Silcox on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
You're listening to the Hammer and Nigel Show.
Hurricane Idalia making landfall in Big Bend area near Florida. as a dangerous Cat 3 early this morning. It got up to a Cat 4, but by the time it made landfall, it was a very strong Category 3, which means winds around 120, 125 miles per hour. As of right now, at least 2 people have died. And Guy, I don't know about you. I think the audience knows by now. I'm a weather nerd. I am fascinated with Mother Nature, man. I always have been. And when these hurricanes come through, the way we're able to watch these and experience these at home, reporters embedded on the beach and satellite drones and all that kind of stuff, it's wild.
Oh, yeah. I remember as a kid, I was completely fascinated with the big turboprop airplanes that used to fly right through the middle of hurricanes. And I just remember watching, some special on these guys going, oh my gosh, these guys have more cojones than anybody on the planet.
Right. Robert Ray is a meteorologist for Fox Weather. This was him this morning. Now, mind you, he wasn't even near Big Bend. This was near Clearwater, where they were getting some of the eastern bands of this hurricane. And listen how intense the winds are.
These are incredible bands coming through here. Idalia is throwing haymakers right now into Clearwater Beach. These are the winds and rain we have seen, and you see the storm surge that I'm walking through here on Coronado Drive right now. This is as intense as we've seen here on the barrier island, where evacuations, mandatory evacs, were in place yesterday. They wanted everyone out by 7 p.m., and we hope that people did. They heeded those warnings.
I got to tell you, though, every time I see legit coverage like that, I always have to flash back to the guy from the Weather Channel who's on the beach, like a boardwalk somewhere, and he's talking about how intense it is, and he's leaning. He's got about a 40-degree lean into the wind, and he's holding his hat on, and he's talking about how intense it is, and the wind's blowing, and all of a sudden behind him, you see 2 dudes in Hawaiian shirts and flip-flops just walk down the street behind him, just totally, you know what I'm talking about? It was the all-time funniest weather video I have ever seen. So, and it totally has taken away from legit coverage like this, because I'm sorry, that's where my mind goes every single time.
There was also, I want to say it was on the Today Show on NBC up in New Jersey. I think this was after Sandy came through. There was this reporter they put in a canoe, and she's on a canoe talking about how bad the floodwaters are, and the camera pans out, and 2 dudes walk by with groceries, just walking right through. And to his credit, I think Matt Lauer was still the anchor at this point. He calls her out. Now, wait a minute. We just saw 2 guys walk by. So for every person that has the theatrics, hats off to the people covering this thing the right way.
You bet.
And I think, honestly, one of the forgotten aspects of these types of storms, we always focus on the winds and the coastline, the ocean, the storm surge, the Gulf water, all that kind of stuff. Even if you live inland, the trees that get knocked down. Listen to this. This was a woman who lived, about 12, 15 miles in Florida, away from the coast. She's videotaping the hurricane winds out of her window, and there's a lot of trees around her. Listen as this tree falls over and it knocks over another one that crashes into her house.
Look, there it goes. There it goes. Oh my gosh. No! Oh. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Hey, it's okay.
So just because you don't live near the water doesn't mean you're not getting major damage as a result of this storm.
Is it still true, Jason? Because I seem to recall you saying that your career in broadcasting will not be truly complete until you can do live coverage of a hurricane somewhere.
That's correct.
Yeah. See, I want to see. We need to make that happen somewhere.
Man, I was real close the other night. Crystal, the coupon lady, gave me kind of a green light to go do it.
Really?
Because the Tampa airport was going to close that night at midnight. And I came home from the show. It's about 7:30. If you want to go, you can go. But don't forget we have a kid in college.
Oh, ouch. Oh, man.
So basically, don't spend this money on airline tickets and a hotel room. It's probably $2,000 right now.
Yeah.
But if you want to, you can go.
Man, nothing like an offer with a big hook on it like that.
Right, 100%.
But hey, if you ever want to go do that, I will backfill for you. I'll sit in here with Nige, and I will man the oar for you while you're down there doing that. If you ever want to do it,
I'll have a GoPro on my head. We're going to do it live, man. This is Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, this morning around 9 a.m. shortly after landfall.
We currently have 54,000 households that are out of power throughout the state of Florida, but there have been over 100,000 households that have already been restored through hard work all through the night, and those restoration efforts are ongoing. Any place it's safe to do, people are there working to get that done.
So that was 9 this morning. Those numbers without power, substantially more a little bit now. But, I mean, keep in mind, here in Indy, we had a gust of wind, and people didn't have power for like 4 days.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And that we still haven't heard adequate answers for what happened there.
So say what you want, man, about Ron DeSantis. His presidential run has been a little underwhelming. He's not really charismatic. He's a little awkward when he gets out in the masses. But when it comes to handling business, when it comes to legislation, when it comes to fighting back against these ridiculous policies and things like this, hurricanes that roll through, man, Guy, I got to be honest. I don't know if I would rather have anybody else in the country than Ron DeSantis.
No, when it comes to just making purely political decisions and executive political decisions, I think he's leading the way. Right up there with Kristi Noem, by the way, from South Dakota, who's one of my all-time favorite governors. It seems like they've made all the right decisions, but clearly among the presidential candidates, that's why he's been my favorite for quite some time, really since before he announced. But I'm disappointed that he doesn't seem to have the charisma and the presence that you would want him to have, and I think that's one of the reasons his poll numbers are down. People have gotten used, especially Republicans, thinking about primary votes, we've gotten used to the showmanship. Right. We've gotten used to
it's become American Idol.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. And so I think that's maybe why DeSantis isn't showing as well in the polls. But we got a long way to go.
It's crazy that if somebody, had just traveled to 2023 from a time machine from like 1960, and you tried to explain to them, listen, in 2023, you can't just have a really good track record of governing. You can't just be somebody that served his country and hasn't ran around on his wife. You have to have more charisma. You need to call a porn star horseface on Twitter. Yeah. That's how you win elections.
Yeah, and it really helps if you've had a reality TV show.
Right. Again, the presidential campaign has been a total dud, but when it comes to this type of stuff, Ron DeSantis has done it very well. Now, if you're watching hurricane coverage like I am, if you're a fellow weather nerd, by now I'm sure you've probably heard all about how this is a result of climate change. Oh, yeah. Here's CNN blaming the hurricane in Florida on climate change, specifically fossil fuel pollution.
It's the biggest sort of trillion-dollar question about how you adapt communities like this to the world that we're already now living in, at the same time trying to mitigate further, more wicked storms down the road with more fossil fuel pollution. It's the double bind of these sort of oil economies in places like this where they have that as an income stream, but also the cost of it is becoming bigger with every storm. Science has been warning about this for a very long time. In many ways, it's been predicted. It's the speed that we're seeing these changes that has taken most folks by surprise.
So that seems a little over the top, considering this is only the second large storm that has hit this Big Bend area. The other one, Guy, 1896. Right. So from 1896 to 2023, 2 major hurricanes have gone to Big Bend, and everybody's freaking out and everybody's losing their minds.
Well, exactly. I mean, I always want to point out that, a city like Galveston, Texas has been completely destroyed by hurricanes like 4 times before the internal combustion engine was invented. I mean, you go back and look at the history of big storms in this country or across the world for that matter, it doesn't really reconcile with this idea of egads. If we all just drove more electric cars, we wouldn't have big storms. I'm sorry, I'm not buying it.
Andrea Mitchell was trying to push that type of stuff on MSNBC when she had Vivek Ramaswamy on. Now, say what you want about Vivek. Some people like him. Some people think he's a flip-flop, kind of a phony. Wherever you're at, can we all agree that what he did to Andrea Mitchell today, bringing the facts, bringing the information, was an absolute thing of beauty?
I can offer clear evidence that the number of climate disaster-related deaths is down by 98% over the last century. Wow. The number of people who died of hurricanes, tornadoes, heat waves, and other weather-related events in 1920, for every 100 that died then, 2 die today. And the reason why is more plentiful, abundant access to fossil fuels and technology powered by fossil fuels. I can also tell you today, it is a hard fact, none of these things are disputed. 8 times as many people die of cold temperatures than die of warm ones. The right answer to all temperature-related deaths is more plentiful, abundant access to fossil fuels. The Earth is covered by more green surface area today than it was half a century or a century ago, because carbon dioxide is plant food. And carbon dioxide as a percentage of the atmosphere is still at a relative low through human history. Those are hard facts. And I think we have to acknowledge those facts when having this debate.
And then you've got Andrea Mitchell just sitting there looking like a deer in headlights going, what in the hell have I got myself into?
I've taken a punch.
So in case you missed it, by the way, yesterday, the Biden administration, knowing that a Category 3 hurricane was barreling in on Florida, gave another $250 million in a security aid package to Ukraine. So for those of you scoring at home, a major hurricane in Florida, Maui burning to the ground, people still displaced in East Palestine, Ohio, the border is a mess, but Ukraine is getting $250 million of your money.
You know, but it's all going to be made okay, Hammer, when President Biden goes down to the Big Bend area of Florida, and he'll give a very empathetic speech to these people, and he'll say, you know, my hat blew off in a windstorm one time, and so I really know how you guys feel, believe me.
It's the Hammer and Nigel show.
Your neighbor Edwin is a lot like you. She loves summers in Indy, but she hates to paint, so she called Rhino Shield.
So over the years, I had to touch up the house. I just got to the point where I couldn't spend any more money on the outside of the house. And when I saw Rhino Shield, I thought that was the answer to my problem.
Rhino Shield specifically formulated for our climate. It's better than paint.
I'd had painters here before, and it was usually quite a disaster with them leaving their equipment here and picking up things in the yard. But Rhino Shield was right on it.
Right now, take advantage of Rhino Shield's summer savings. Get $1,000 off plus 0% interest for 18 months.
The gentleman said, if you're interested, give me a call. And I said, honestly, can you come tomorrow?
Here's owner Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
I have a friend who just moved to St. Louis. Huge career switch. But she's still paying mortgage here in town, just killing her financially. She used a traditional home selling process as something like an agent that had been in the family forever, and what a nightmare this has been. Matt Bear here. Hey, it makes me know that I'm using Open Door and the Open Door app because they let me skip all the hassles that come with buying and selling your home. You pick the closing date, so no double mortgages. You're in control from the very beginning in the process. Man, it's so streamlined. You could request an offer from anywhere on any device, even sell your house and buy your next house all in one move. I mean, there isn't always a perfect time to move. Open Door can help anytime be a perfect time. Take control of your move when you start with Open Door. Visit opendoor.com or download the Open Door app to get started. That's opendoor.com or download the Open Door app. Open Door is represented by Open Door Brokerage Incorporated, license 020-61130 in California, and Open Door Brokerage LLC and its other markets. Terms and conditions apply.
School days are here. Fall back into routine with Family Dollar and save more. Start the mornings off right with General Mills, Kellogg's, or Post cereals. Buy one, get one for only $1 with Smart Coupon. Be a lunchtime hero with Ritz, Oreo, or Chips Ahoy family-size cookies or crackers, 2 for $8.50. Then feed those after-school cravings with snacks like Tyson frozen chicken nuggets, patties, strips, or bites, and save $3 with Smart Coupon. Family Dollar, helping you do more.
We all need a certain level of socialization to remain mentally sharp and healthy, especially when living with a life-altering diagnosis. This is Tina McIntosh, president of Joy's House and co-host of the Caregiver Crossing radio program. Coming up are suggestions that can help improve that loneliness your loved one may have.
At Cardon Senior Living Communities, you'll find our teams share a commitment to enhancing the lifestyle and well-being of the people we serve every day at every stage of life.
Create a routine that both you and your loved one can look forward to. Plan social activities and outings. They promote connection and reduce those feelings of isolation. Recruit your friends and family to participate. And if possible, use adult day centers to engage your loved one and give you that much needed break. More tips like this are available anytime at caregivercrossingradio.org. With new weekly content created by Joy's House and distributed in partnership with Network Indiana, we're an on-air and online support group for Hoosier family caregivers. Hear conversations with experts, access a library of online education, and more at caregivercrossingradio.org.
Pierce Jewelers is the best family-owned jewelry store in Carmel. All jewelry and watch repair, appraisals, and custom design are done in-house. Shop local, shop smart, shop Pierce Jewelers.
Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for $139 and a free hallway too, and $50 off air duct cleaning with Zero-Res. 388-5141 and ZeroResIndy.com.
Head to the Gun Guy page at WIBC.com and enter for your chance to win 4 tickets to the Indy 1500 Gun and Blade Show at the Indiana State Fairgrounds, September 8th, 9th, and 10th. For more information, head to WIBC.com.
Matt Bear, it's a beautiful day. What do the roads look like?
Well, rush hour hit Meridian Hills Hammer. Looking at northbound Meridian right now. Stop traffic from 71st Street down to 64th. That's because of that construction zone. Looking at inbound 65, stop and go 21st to Meridian Penn. South side, we have stopped on eastbound 465 from Kentucky Avenue over to the White River and keeping an eye on that. Traffic sponsored by IU Health 24/7 ER care for kids, available at Riley Children's Health at IU Health North in Carmel. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
74 at the American Standard Cooling Weather Center at 93 WIBC.
The Hammer and Nigel Show.
Coming up a little bit after 4 o'clock, Donald Trump hinting about a running mate, someone he said he likes. We will talk about that coming up in just a little bit. I'm Jason Hammer. Guy Relford filling in for Big Nige today. Guy, a Dutch airline company, is introducing an adults-only zone on one of their flights. No kids. Take your stinking kids and go somewhere else. Adults only. And this will give 9 folks extra legroom, and they will be able to have a bunch of extra standard seats. Were you thinking about this? Is this good? You like this?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, as a guy who's 6'4", I don't fit into a typical airline seat very well at all. And the idea of having a little extra room is exciting. And, you know, I raised kids. I have grandparents now, or grandkids now. You know, I consider myself someone who loves kids, but being on an airplane and being separated from the kids doesn't sound like a totally bad idea to me either.
But the thing is like the first thing I thought of was they're making it sound like kids are the problem on these airlines.
Well, that's a good point.
Every time I see somebody freaking out on the plane, whether it's the hot chick who says somebody's not real, whether it's some moron picking a fight, somebody peeing in the aisleway, it's a grown-ass adult.
Yeah, well, that is a very good point. You know, my first thought, though, Hammer, I got to tell you, when I read this, introducing a new adults-only section on the airplane, is this will lead to a 47% increase in the percentage of people, the number of people who become members of the Mile High Club.
Yes. Adults only is the key phrase there. Now, there was a high-profile situation of a child causing an incident on the plane. Did you ever hear the audio of this guy freaking out and yelling at people on the plane because the couple in front of him had a baby that they just let cry and they didn't try to console him? And this guy... He's so ticked off that the baby is crying. He starts yelling at their parents. He starts yelling at people on the plane, the flight attendants. Check it out.
With a baby in a goddamn echo chamber, and you want to talk to me about being okay? Okay, because you're yelling. So is the baby. Okay, so you're a man. Did that motherfucker pay extra to yell? Okay. No.
sports. Lower that baby sports.
Could you imagine being so ticked off you're dropping F-bombs at the baby?
Oh, yeah. Now, what do you think the likelihood of this guy got the lifetime travel ban?
Oh, wow. It's close. It feels like you really got to earn it now. As many morons as we see, like you really got to go above and beyond to get the lifetime travel ban.
And I think, a lot of people empathize with the general idea that, it's frustrating to have a crying baby for a long time in your immediate proximity on an airplane. But he's pretty over the top, too. Yeah, I say that's a close call.
It's the Hammer and Nigel Show.
All Hoosier families want the best for their kids, but parents of children with autism face special challenges, and they're counting on Governor Eric Holcomb. Thousands of Indiana children with autism are enrolled in applied behavior analysis therapy centers. ABA centers provide a safe learning environment where parents know their children will be understood and taught lifelong skills. But the Holcomb administration has proposed deep Medicaid cuts that could force ABA centers to close. Kate is the mother of a son with autism.
As a single mom, caring for a son with autism can feel very overwhelming. Luckily, I got my son into an ABA center near our home. Since then, he's learned so many life skills to help keep him safe and give him a brighter and more independent future. It would crush our family if we were to lose this option. Governor Holcomb, you're our only hope. Please stop these devastating Medicaid cuts.
Governor Holcomb, listen to Hoosier families and ensure children with autism in Indiana get the care they deserve. Paid for by Indiana Act for Families.
JV here for Sundown Gardens. The Sundown Gardens Labor Day sale is here. Fall is a great time to plan and schedule for retail installation is filling up quickly. This week at Sundown Gardens, 50% off all concrete and glazed pottery, statues, and fountains, and 20% off all trees and shrubs in stock. Get ready for a great fall season at the Sundown Gardens Labor Day sale this week. Sundown Gardens, 186th and Spring Mill Road. That's sundown.gardens.com. Sundown Gardens is closed Labor Day.
Think identity theft won't happen to you? Think again. There's a new victim every 3 seconds in the U.S. Over 15 million this year alone. And many don't even know they're victims. LifeLock alerts you to identity threats you could miss, even when you monitor your credit. If your identity is stolen, your dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Identity theft protection starts here.
Let us send you your home's value today. Go to HoosierHomeValues2023.com. From Crossroads Collective, title sponsor of the First Day, Sundays 11 to 1.
Hi, this is Evan Wood with Tire Discounters. Usually our family's radio commercials, like our jingle, are a little on the goofy side. But in September, our tune changes to the Wounded Warrior Project, which is a great organization that supports our veterans in need. Helping out our veterans makes me really proud of my family, our company, and definitely our customers. So, come into Tire Discounters anytime this month, and you'll save up to $300 on major brands when you donate any amount to this worthy cause. It's our turn to give.
All Hoosier families want the best for their kids, but parents of children with autism face special challenges, and they're counting on Governor Eric Holcomb. Thousands of Indiana children with autism are enrolled in applied behavior analysis therapy centers. ABA centers provide a safe learning environment where parents know their children will be understood and taught lifelong skills. But the Holcomb administration has proposed deep Medicaid cuts that could force ABA centers to close. Kate is the mother of a son with autism.
As a single mom, caring for a son with autism can feel very overwhelming. Luckily, I got my son into an ABA center near our home. Since then, he's learned so many life skills to help keep him safe and give him a brighter and more independent future. It would crush our family if we were to lose this option. Governor Holcomb, you're our only hope. Please stop these devastating Medicaid cuts.
Governor Holcomb, listen to Hoosier families and ensure children with autism in Indiana get the care they deserve. Paid for by Indiana Act for Families.
Your local news coming up after Fox News Radio from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 4 o'clock.
Whatever they need. Lisa Brady, Fox News. President Biden's message to the governors dealing with Hurricane Idalia.
I let each governor I spoke with know if there's anything
Anything the states need right now, I'm ready to mobilize that support.
The storm's been soaking parts of South Georgia and the Carolinas as a Category 1 hurricane after landfall earlier in Florida's Big Bend area. It's a Category 3 storm with a devastating storm surge.
One person said that the water in their home was up to 6 feet. Other people told me that the water went into their garages, not the living quarters of their homes, so they were spared the worst of the damage.
Fox Business's Grady Trimble in Steinhatchee, Florida, where one mobile rental home was pushed for several blocks by the wind and water. Search and rescue efforts continue, along with efforts to restore power. President Biden also getting a briefing on Maui's wildfire recovery, defending the federal response and announcing $95 million to improve Hawaii's electric grid. A former Roman Catholic cardinal is deemed not competent to be tried on sex abuse charges.
Prosecutors and defense attorneys say former Washington, D.C. Archbishop Theodore McCarrick, now 93 years old, suffers from dementia. He says he did not abuse a teenage boy in the 1970s, demonstrating behavior other cardinals questioned. But a psychologist hired by the prosecution said there are now gaps in McCarrick's memory. His defense believes he doesn't fully understand the seriousness of the charges. The victim's lawyer says he is disappointed by the diagnosis, but victims still view McCarrick as a predator. Pope Francis defrocked McCarrick in 2019.
Fox's Gernal Scott. Stocks finish higher. The Dow up 38 points at the bell. The S&P and the NASDAQ also in the green. America is listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level. On the go.
Why they've had to change policy. 76 degrees, mostly sunny in downtown Indianapolis. Your radar is clear. You've got a low of 53 tonight. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending at 4:02. The video showing the death of Marion County Deputy Sheriff John Durham was shown Wednesday during a press conference. The sheriff's office has since received a court order stopping that video from being shared again. Sheriff Kerry Forrestall says the department's overhauled its inmate transport policies.
While no number of protocols or additional staff can eliminate all risk, we're firmer to our commitment to make meaningful changes that reflect our dedication to continuous improvement and, most importantly, honor the memory of the life we lost.
2 deputies were supposed to be with Durham that day, but he was alone. And those 2 deputies have since been fired. Gun violence on Indy's highways, it's a concern for state police.
Yeah, we've seen an alarming increase since 2019 of the investigations we're conducting on interstate shootings, most specifically shootings that are a result of road rage incidents.
Sergeant John Perrine. State troopers have responded to 39 road rage shootings in Indianapolis this year. At Westfield High School today, you're hearing First Lady Dr. Jill Biden greeting students at the school. The focus of her discussion was on mental health. Hudson Card will start at quarterback Saturday for Purdue against Fresno State. So far, he's thankful for the guys he's throwing the football to.
They make me look good. They make my life easy. So just try to get the ball into the playmakers' hands and let them go to work.
Purdue won the Big Ten West Division last year. In Bloomington, IU football hosts Ohio State to kick off their season.
I think the challenge for us will be just kind of identifying, what's their flavor this year. It's going to be a good game. We're excited to play them. We won't get off the bus unless we plan on winning. So we'll be there.
Offensive coordinator Waltz Bell. Indiana lost to the Buckeyes 56-14 a year ago. You're 1 minute away from traffic and weather. It's 4:04.
QC Kinetics is not exaggerating when they say this. QC Kinetics can change your life. You can live again without chronic joint pain and without drugs or surgery. Tony Katz here, and QC Kinetics is advanced regenerative medicine. They take your body's own concentrated healing properties and put them right into your joint to restore and repair that damaged tissue that's causing all of that horrible pain. And unlike surgery, there's no downtime with QC treatments. If you have constant pain in your knees, hips, shoulder, or back, you need to call and get a free consultation from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics today. Call QC Kinetics and see how the latest advances in precision regenerative medicine can attack your pain and bring you lasting relief. Call QC Kinetics right now. 317-559-PAIN. QC Kinetics is in Eagle Creek, in Greenwood, and now in Carmel. Call 317-559-PAIN. 317-559-PAIN. Eagle Creek, Greenwood, and Carmel. QC Kinetics. 317-559-PAIN.
With traffic on the 5s at 4:05. How are the roads, Matt Bear?
All right, Harrison, we do have trouble right now on the south side. It is eastbound 465 stopped at 72, the White River. And then coming into downtown, southbound 65 stop and go, 29th to Meridian Penn. Eastbound 70 slow to downtown from Harding, Meridian, Illinois. And this is a crash, Kessler Boulevard East. West of Allisonville Road to Erie Avenue, we do have backups. Traffic sponsored by Staples Stores. At Staples Stores, school savings are always in session. From art supplies and essentials to the latest tech and stock and price to low. School on, save on at your local Staples store. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
And the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
A mild and partly cloudy afternoon turns into a clear and cool evening with low temperatures in the lower 50s for the morning hours and really nothing else going on other than a light breeze out of the northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour overnight. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Junior Suiters for 93 WIBC.
And I'm Harrison Silcox. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Hammer and Nigel.
Can you believe these characters are weirdos?
So let's rock it!
It's the Hammer and Nigel show. I am Jason Hammer. Big Nige is out. Guy Relford filling in today. And Guy, it looks like, unless there's legal stuff that prevents him from doing so, Donald Trump's going to be the GOP nominee.
Yeah, it sure looks that way.
Even if he loses a few places in the polls, he's up by so much.
Yeah.
It's not really going to matter at this point unless something incredibly wild happens or legal stuff.
Yep.
So the question now becomes, who is going to be his running mate? Are these debates that are happening really an audition to be Donald Trump's number two? It's kind of like The Apprentice watching these GOP debates. Well, in an interview that he did with Glenn Beck on his Blaze TV show, Donald Trump said he is open to one of the current folks running against him to be his VP, and that person is Vivek Ramaswamy.
Well, I think he's great. Look, anybody that said I'm the best president in a generation, I don't know, you'll have to define generation, but it's a long time. And he said it a couple of times, and he said it in 100 years. So I have to like a guy like that. You know, I can't get upset with him. But he's a smart guy. He's a young guy. He's got a lot of talent. He's a very intelligent person. He's got good energy, and he could be in some form of something. I tell you, I think he'd be very good. I think he's very good. I think he's really distinguished himself. He's starting to get out there a little bit. He's getting a little bit controversial. I got to tell him, be a little bit careful.
So that's Donald Trump earlier today speaking to Glenn Beck about a possible Trump-Ramaswamy ticket.
Well, I think the process usually on selecting a running mate as president is to think about what voters you pick up through that vice presidential candidate that you don't already have. And I don't know that Ramaswamy necessarily checks that box. In other words, if you're a Trump fan, or if you're not inclined already to vote for Trump, either one, what does Ramaswamy do for you? And that's where I think Nikki Haley would be. If I were Trump, I'd be looking strongly at Nikki Haley. We know Trump has a problem with suburban women. That's what cost him badly in 2020. Does he sway any of those current undecideds as between him and Biden with someone like a Nikki Haley as a running mate?
Okay, and I get that, but Donald Trump also needs younger voters.
That's very true.
The card-carrying, red hat-wearing MAGA supporter is usually a little bit older. Ramaswamy has tapped into a younger group and a guy of color. So maybe that helps Donald Trump a little bit. But are we overthinking this whole thing? Because when was the last time somebody's vice presidential selection really moved the needle one way or the other? Like, is there somebody right now that's torn on Donald Trump? Well, I'm not sure. I don't know what to think about Donald Trump. Let me wait and see who his running mate is.
Oh, look, he selected this person or that person. Now I'm suddenly going to vote for Trump. No, it's a valid point. And people seem to be so polarized over Trump anyway that you're right. It probably doesn't make that big of a difference. But I do think, generally speaking, that when these candidates are thinking about who they want as their running mate, that's the equation. I mean, look at Kamala Harris. She checks a bunch of boxes. And is there any other reason why Biden Biden selected her to be his vice presidential candidate.
Hell, she called him a segregationist and basically called him a racist on the debate stage, and she was rewarded for that.
But he thought she brought more people to the ticket than other potential candidates because she checked all those boxes.
So yesterday, some Gold Star families of the 13 brave men and women who died in that botched Afghan withdrawal had a chance to speak their minds at a hearing in Washington. And they were told to speak whatever you want. And one of these Gold Star dads, the father of the fallen Marine Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz, man, this is going to be some powerful audio you're about to hear. But this is a dad that lost his son, and listen to what he has to say about our commander-in-chief.
Not a single person has been held accountable. Our so-called leader can't seem to even utter their names in public, not even once. Mr. Biden has run his entire political campaign for 50 years as the family man. Well, I've got news for you, sir. The curtain has been lifting, and that campaign slogan will never work again. We have seen what's going on in your family, and even worse, we've seen how you've been treating us as Gold Star families. And there couldn't be anything more disgusting and cowardly than the way you have treated us. You are a disgrace to this nation. You have no business having ultimate command over our military, and I regret not saying that to your face when I had the opportunity in Dover. I felt it more important to bite my tongue, but I also had more important things on my mind at that time, like receiving my son's lifeless body stateside. While I stood there on the tarmac, watching you check your watch over and over again, all I wanted to do was shout out, "It's 2:30, asshole." But out of respect to the other grieving families, I bit my tongue once again. Well, as you could probably tell by now, I'm done biting my tongue.
Unbelievable. Just a powerful moment yesterday.
Yeah. And I was in real-time communication with a kind of an indirect family member who's on the ground in Afghanistan and was at the airport. And his reaction to the total and complete withdrawal of all support for those people on the ground during the evacuation. I mean, he had no idea, for instance, this is somebody who should know, had no idea they were going to close Bagram Air Force Base. I mean, this whole evacuation, this withdrawal should have been through Bagram, right? It was to secure U.S. Air Base. Oh no, we're going to do it in essentially a downtown airport surrounded by the city, and it was way too accessible to the bad guys, the Taliban, throughout the entire process. But he was shocked that the U.S. completely abandoned them in terms of any support and just basically said, "Do the best you can with what you have." And it was shocking to him. It angered him, and it doesn't surprise me a bit that these Gold Star families are that upset. And I love the fact that this gentleman was not only willing to express his feelings, but was so eloquent in doing so. He did a fabulous job.
And to leave people behind, to leave all of that military gear behind, which ends up in the hands of people who want to kill Americans or on the black market. And then they end up in the hands of people who want to kill Americans. The whole thing was just a Mickey Mouse operation ran by unserious people.
Absolutely.
Here's a little bit more of that Gold Star father of the late Marine Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz.
You, sir, discredit honor and integrity. 2 years later, there are things I find myself thinking about. Where and what was Biden's logic sneaking out of Bagram in the middle of the night before ever getting a single Afghan partner or American civilian out? This is the purest definition of intentional negligence. This is just one of many irresponsible and negligent decisions coming from the White House. In addition, leaving behind billions of dollars of our finest military hardware has led to the biggest international free market in history.
Right.
Unfortunately, this will undoubtedly lead to more American military lives lost in the future. Between what has been happening here domestically, for example, the border, over the last 2.5 years, and all your failed foreign policy decisions, I would venture a guess that you have more American blood on your hands, Mr. Biden, than any president in U.S. history.
Wow. Somebody's going to approach this guy and ask him to run for Congress. You know what I mean? That's just one of those speeches that's going to move so many people, and it's so dead on. And not only accurate, but as I said, eloquent. He did a hell of a job.
The hair standing up on my arm.
Absolutely right.
Because you hear this father, and there's video. You can see this father. He's fighting back tears, but he wants to make sure that everybody knows what happened in this situation. It's not going to be something where he wants to not talk about it anymore. Stop covering things up. Stop biting your tongue. No, everybody needs to know how incompetent our commander-in-chief is, and what a powerful moment yesterday. So hit us up on social media at Hammer and Nigel or at Guy Relford on Twitter. Donald Trump hinting that he wouldn't mind having Vivek Ramaswamy as his running mate. You good with this? A game we play sometimes. Are you okay with this? Tweet at us, Facebook, Instagram. We got the YouTube chat going, the live in-camera studio. What do you think? Donald Trump? Ramaswamy? Does this work for you? Or do you want somebody else? At Hammer and Nigel. Matt Bear.
Hey, stay out of Kessler East, west of Allisonville Road. Actually, that whole intersection there, it is a mess because of a crash. And now we have a hit on the west side. It's Morris at Girls School Road, and then a crash, Mooresville Road, west of Norcroft. Looking at eastbound 70, that's stop-and-go traffic from Holt Road to Meridian, Illinois. South side, eastbound 465, stop from 70 to the White River. Traffic sponsored by LASIK Plus. LASIK Plus is the patient's choice for LASIK. Get $1,000 off LASIK when treated in September. That's $500 off per eye plus guaranteed financing. Visit mylasicoffer.com for details. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
Few comments coming in from the YouTube chat. No, I'm not okay with Trump picking the Soros puppet. And then another person writes, Matt Bear for VP. Now we're talking. Now we're going to give the people what they want. Again, keep the conversation rolling at Hammer and Nigel on social media, at Guy Relford, or the YouTube chat. We've got a camera here in studio. We're streaming live. Chat's going on. Get in the mix. Right now, sunshine, 75 at the American Standard Cooling Weather Center. Is This Anything? Next.
All Hoosier families want the best for their kids, but parents of children with autism face special challenges, and they're counting on Governor Eric Holcomb. Thousands of Indiana children with autism are enrolled in applied behavior analysis therapy centers. ABA centers provide a safe learning environment where parents know their children will be understood and taught lifelong skills. But the Holcomb administration has proposed deep Medicaid cuts that could force ABA centers to close. Kate is the mother of a son with autism.
As a single mom, caring for a son with autism can feel very overwhelming. Luckily, I got my son into an ABA center near our home. Since then, he's learned so many life skills to help keep him safe and give him a brighter and more independent future. It would crush our family if we were to lose this option. Governor Holcomb, you're our only hope. Please stop these devastating Medicaid cuts.
Governor Holcomb, listen to Hoosier families and ensure children with autism in Indiana get the care they deserve. Paid for by Indiana Act for Families.
Stop right now and ask yourself, what is most important to you? Hey, this is Casey Weed at Howard Bailey Financial, the official wealth management partner of Notre Dame Athletics. We believe in developing retirement plans driven by what is most important to you, your purpose. Then we can build what we call your financial life plan, made up of 4 main pillars: liquidity for emergencies, income to last a lifetime, flexibility to adapt, estate planning to maximize your legacy, and finally, tax planning to maximize what you can spend and pass on. To learn more about saving on your taxes, get your free digital tax guide. Just call or text TAX42 to 866-482-9559. That's TAX42 to 866-482-9559.
Notre Dame Athletics was compensated for this endorsement and is not a current client of Howard Bailey. For more information, please visit howardbailey.com/ND disclosure. Investment advisory services may be offered through Howard Bailey Securities LLC, a registered investment advisor. Working with Howard Bailey Securities LLC cannot guarantee investment success or that specific financial goals will be achieved.
Okay, next time you're at the store, I dare you to not think about the unmistakable fresh, clean scent of Irish Spring. Yeah, you heard me. I want you to resist picturing a shower filled with those sensational Irish Spring suds. And if you succeed, well, you got what my gramps used to call resolutitude. Not a real word, but let's be honest, you're probably going to end up leaving with Irish Spring. because of its irresistible scent, and because you have zero resolutitude. Pick up Irish Spring at Walmart today.
There is still time to get a patio this fall with Indy Decorative Concrete, the patio experts. No subcontractors ever. Get the patio you'll love from Indy Decorative Concrete. Big enough to service, small enough to care. Online at indydecorativeconcrete.com.
This hour on 93 WIBC, powered by Pierce Jewelers, Carmel's Diamond Engagement Ring Store.
Nigel presents
It depends upon what the meaning of the word is.
Is this anything?
All right, let's rock and roll.
This is how we are going to play Is This Anything? Big Nige is out today, and Guy Relford riding shotgun. See what I did there for the gun guy? I am going to run some stories by Guy. He is going to break down all the information and give you the verdict if the story in question is anything or not. So, Guy, we start with this. Some woman brought a gun into the Chicago White Sox game last weekend, and the way she was able to do it, and again, this is typical White Sox fan, she was able to hide it in the folds of her belly fat.
Oh, my.
But when she was inside the stadium, it accidentally went off and grazed another woman in the leg. Here is one fan that was in the stands during the shooting at the White Sox game.
You had to walk through all the metal detectors. They were going off for people's watches and stuff, and then they do a double check and stuff. So I don't know how somebody got in there like that. We kind of felt like it was BS at first, but I mean, I don't know why they would say that if it didn't happen.
That anything?
Well, it's something only because of how colossally stupid this is. I mean, she's carrying a gun in a totally unsafe manner. The trigger's not protected.
You mean in between rolls of fat is an unsafe manner, Guy?
Yeah, dramatically unsafe. And it bothers me when gun owners do something incredibly stupid like this. Because you know what? One person's stupidity like this, some legislator, like they don't already have enough gun control in Chicago or in Illinois generally, some legislator's going to go, oh, look, we need a law because this idiot was an idiot. And it's gun owners like this that cause a lot of problems for a lot of the rest of us. So this is something only because it's incredibly stupid and irresponsible, and it's going to end up, in all likelihood, doing damage to law-abiding and safe gun owners.
So this happened after the game had just wrapped up. They were getting ready to have a concert, and the concert was Vanilla Ice and Tone Loc, like an late 80s, 90s type of concert.
Oh, wow.
So imagine you go to the White Sox game, you have to sit through watching that god-awful team, and then Vanilla Ice cancels, and you see somebody get shot. What a horrible night out. The worst part about that whole thing, they had to watch the White Sox.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this anything? Two men have teamed up. I can't stress this enough. Two men have teamed up to attempt the Guinness World Record for most hugs in 1 minute. Now, the record was set by comedian Anthony Anderson and Hootie, Darius Rucker, in an episode of Carpool Karaoke. Here's the moment that David Rush and Josh Horton reached 153 hugs in 1 minute.
David Rush, I'm here with Josh Horton, Guinness World Record and juggler extraordinaire, and we have just broken the official Guinness World Records title for the most hugs in 1 minute. Come on.
That anything?
No. I mean, and listen, I have no problem. Two guys want to hug. God bless you. I've hugged a lot of guys myself. Not a problem, but who cares? There are some of these records that are just goofy. And the fact that, and the guy's out of breath. You're out of breath from hugging?
Have you tried to hug somebody 153 times in 60 seconds? Don't act like you wouldn't be out of breath.
Oh, dude, I was in a fraternity. Of course I have. Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt. Of course I have.
I said hug.
Hug. No, I said tried.
Kylan's over here rolling her eyes, regretting the day that she filled in for Allison. Is this anything? Now, here's something in your wheelhouse, guy.
Yeah.
Elvis Presley's gun collection is apparently in high demand. Somebody paid almost $200,000 for the King's Smith & Wesson Model 53 revolver. Is this anything?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm surprised it's not more than that. I mean, you're talking about the king, man. And, and he liked his guns, right? I mean, he got deputized by President Nixon to be like a special agent of some kind. And
was it true or urban legend that he would shoot the TV? Like we've all seen or heard the story of maybe a little bit of a whacked out Elvis Presley, depressed, sitting in his chair, firing off a shot into the TV.
Yeah, no, I think that's real because I've heard it from too many sources to think that it wasn't.
It's like the Hogsett stuff. Too many people who don't know each other telling you the same story.
No, that's exactly right. No, I think this is something. I mean, and to have an original Smith & Wesson 53, which is a classic revolver anyway, that is actually owned by the king. I'm almost surprised it didn't go for more money. That's pretty awesome. I mean, I'd put that in a case and I'd have that displayed somewhere secure. That'd be fun.
Where are you at with the music of Elvis Presley?
Oh, I love the stuff of Elvis.
Thank you. Because the guy that normally sits in that seat was trying to tell us that Elvis sucks and that Nickelback was better.
Oh, what? What?
Now, keep in mind who normally sits in that seat.
There's a reason that Nickelback gets worldwide shame and scorn heaped upon them. I mean, no. Elvis is king, man, and real Elvis. Elvis went through his commercial phase and was doing all the movies, and things got a little hokey there for a little while. But classic Elvis, man, is some of the best music ever.
So, Kylan, who is filling in for Allison today, Kylan, turn on your microphone.
Absolutely.
You are substantially younger than Guy and I. Do you mind if I ask, you're early 20s, right? Is that fair? Early 20s. All right. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put 10 seconds on the clock.
Oh, no.
You tell me how many Elvis Presley songs you can name in 10 seconds. Okay? On your mark, get set, go.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, well, Can't Help Falling in Love, Jailhouse Rock.
Okay.
If I Can Dream, I was listening to that earlier.
Almost done. Go.
Burning Love.
There we go. All right. We'll take that. We'll take that.
I think that's probably all I know.
What's your all-time favorite Elvis song?
Man, Jailhouse Rock still holds up.
Yeah.
It is. It's the go-to. Like, if I'm DJing a wedding, which I used to do all the time back in the day, that's one of the songs you can kind of put on early in the reception while the aunts and grandmas and uncles are all still there.
That gets people up.
That gets them out on the dance floor. Then later on the night, it gets pretty hood. But that's the one song for me that still holds up from the king. What about you?
I like the ballads, man, like Love Me Tender. I like.
Are You Lonesome Tonight?
Are You Lonesome Tonight is just fabulous. Yeah, that's good stuff, man. Classic Elvis.
Do you like fat Elvis or do you like early Elvis? Like hip shaking Ed Sullivan Elvis or big jumpsuit, big sideburns Elvis? Kylan, where are we at here?
First one, definitely.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, little bit of trivia. I'm a longtime indie guy. I work security. I work for security for a group called the Bear Force. And old people like me will remember who the Bear Force was. We were private security, but we got hired to do security all the time at Market Square Arena. And the summers of 1976 and 1977, I worked at Market Square Arena at all their concerts, working security for the Bear Force. And I worked security for Elvis's last live concert ever.
Oh, wow.
And that was at Market Square Arena in Indianapolis. And I was backstage. We had a deal where if you worked front, it was more fun to be front stage because you stood right in front of the stage to keep people from climbing up on the stage.
Right.
And you could watch the show if nothing was going on, at least be close to it. But then we always had a deal where you switched with somebody and you'd work backstage for half. So you'd swap with somebody. I was backstage for the second half. So I got to stand by the back door and hold the back door open as Elvis was leaving after his last live concert, which was in Indianapolis. I held the door open for him and I said, great show, King, which it wasn't, by the way. It was a horrible show. People booed and, he was out of it. He was not in good shape. But I held the door open for him. I said, great show, King. And he was, thanks, man.
You talked to Elvis.
Yeah, he said, thanks, man.
You may be the last person Elvis Presley ever spoke to on a tour.
No, he didn't die for several months, I think.
No, but on a tour, though.
Oh, on tour, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, because he was walking out. I was holding the back door open for him, the stage door, as he was leaving. And I said, great show, King. And thanks, man.
Because everybody else after that is his entourage, people that are in charge of him, management, family, friends, hangers-on. The last tour person Elvis Presley ever said anything to was Guy Relford.
That could be. And by the way, I still have that backstage pass.
That's
And
awesome.
I wish I would have asked him to sign it, because that sucker would be worth some money. A signed backstage pass from his last live concert, but I still have the backstage pass, although I did not have the cojones to ask him to sign it.
It's the Hammer and Nigel show.
Hi, this is Denny Smith for Zerorez. And how about tackling those ugly summer stains on those carpets? More than that, your carpets are the largest air filter in your home and can hold 4 times their weight in dirt. Where do you think everybody sneezes, wipes their shoes, and drops food? That's right, your carpets. And the kids are headed back to school, and the germ pool there means even more sniffles and sneezes. It really is a great time to clean the carpets, and it's quick and easy to schedule them online by phone. Nobody but Zerorez has the patented electrolyzed ZR water that cleans with no soap, no harsh chemicals, and no residue to attract more dirt. They can even clean your ductwork to help you breathe easier. Duct cleaning improves the air quality in your home as well as the efficiency of your HVAC equipment and reducing energy costs. Call Zerorez today and mention WIBC. You'll get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $139, and they'll give you a free hallway and $50 off air duct cleaning too. For a smarter, lasting clean and really easy scheduling, call 388-5141 or visit ZerorezIndy.com.
Make your money work for you. At Busey Bank, we understand the importance of saving for the future. Our CD specials offer a competitive, secure, short-term option to help give your savings a boost. Visit Busey.com/CD rates or call 1-800-67-BUSEY today. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Staffing wasn't the problem. Mostly sunny over the circle at 76 degrees downtown. There's no rain on your radar tonight. You can expect low temps into the lower 50s. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending at 431. You've heard that department resources contributed to the death of Marion County Deputy John Durham in July. The sheriff says that's not the whole story.
Some say it's defective equipment or even complacency. It wasn't understaffing that killed John Durham.
Sheriff Kerry Forrestall in a Wednesday press conference.
Nor was it complacency. It was Orlando Mitchell.
But Forrestall admits 2 deputies should have been there for the transport. The sheriff's office has completely overhauled its protocols now. Orlando Mitchell faces a charge of murder. State police say they're responding to more road rage incidents on Indy's highways.
The vast majority of them just seem to be a moment of road rage and anger.
Sergeant Sean Perrine says ISPs responded to 39 road rage shootings in Indianapolis this year. President Biden says FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell is on her way to Florida.
She'll meet with Governor DeSantis tomorrow and begin conducting the federal assessment at my direction.
A hurricane hit the Tampa Bay area this morning with wind speeds as strong as 125 miles an hour. The storm is weakened, though. It's heading through Georgia and the Carolinas today. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says he's hearing about people turning to theft after the storm.
We are not going to tolerate any looting in the aftermath of a natural disaster.
He says people in his state should think twice before they try to steal. Purdue's new starting quarterback believes the hard work is going to pay off this season.
That's kind of where I am going into it. The work I put in with the guys day in and day out, that will ultimately lead to, the results that we want to have as a team.
Hudson Card, who transferred from Texas, will lead the Boilermaker offense in their season opener against Fresno State. IU opens the season with Ohio State. Your stock report, the Dow up by 37 points to 34,890. The NASDAQ was up by 75 to 14,019. And the S&P 500 increasing by 17 today to 4,514. You're 1 minute away from traffic and weather. It's 4:33.
Indy, stop spoiling your summers, painting year after year. Do what your neighbor Mark did. He called Rhino Shield.
It's a 2-story home built in 1992. Around 2001, looking at needing to paint, I heard a radio ad, with Rhino Shield, you won't have to paint again for another 25 years.
Rhino Shield's ceramic coating is specifically formulated for our climate.
They're very professional. We had everything done. Everything that would typically be painted on a house was done, and it was very fast.
Indy, this just in. Take advantage of Rhino Shield's summer savings. Get $1,000 off plus 0% interest for 18 months.
It was done in 2001 and still going strong. From what I've seen on our home, they can easily offer a 25-year guarantee and not worry about it.
Here's owner Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Don't Rhino.
Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
With traffic at 434, here's Matt Bear.
All right, Harrison, looking at Kensler Boulevard at Allisonville Road. Stay clear if you can. That is a crash. It's made a mess. Eastbound 72 downtown. Stop and go traffic. Holt Road to Meridian, Illinois. Inbound 65 slow from MLK to Meridian Penn. Lawrence northbound 465. Stop and go from I-70 past Penn Pike. Also a crash south side. This is Thompson Road at Franklin. One on the west side, Morris at Girls School Road. Traffic sponsored by IU Health. 24/7 ER care for kids available at Riley Children's Health at IU Health North in Carmel. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
And the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
A mild and partly cloudy afternoon turns into a clear and cool evening with low temperatures in the lower 50s for the morning hours and really nothing else going on other than a light breeze out of the northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour overnight. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Junior Suiters for 93 WIBC.
And I'm Harrison Silcox on the level on the go and on WIBC.com.
You're listening to the Hammer and Nigel Show.
It is the Hammer and Nigel Show. I'm Jason Hammer, the gun guy. Guy Relford filling in for Big Nige. And sauntering into the studio, a bad mama jamma in her own right. Casey Daniels from the Kendall and Casey Show. How are you?
I'm good. You picked up on that sauntering, huh?
A little bit. Nobody saunters better than you.
Thank you.
Like when Tony Katz tried to saunter and made everybody sick.
You should stop doing that. Well, I'm glad you approve of my sauntering. Thank you.
So you and I were talking a little bit earlier today. Mm-hmm. You know me. I am a weather nerd. I'm fascinated with the phenomenon of weather, tornadoes, hurricanes. It interests me.
Yeah.
You lived in Tallahassee, which isn't too far from where
the Big Bend, where it's hitting, where it hit.
Where this bad boy came onto land. Did you have to deal with anything like this?
6. Lived through 6.
6 of them.
6 hurricanes.
This strong?
No, not this strong. They didn't go quite as far inland, but lived through 6. I'm curious. I have to ask you, where does this weather fascination come from?
I don't know.
You've always you open the garage door and stand out there and watch the storms roll in, don't you?
I'm that guy. Yes, I am totally that hillbilly from Indiana that's standing outside in the middle of a tornado, but it's just always interested me, and I've always loved broadcasting and weather, and that's what I went to school for. I wanted to be one of these guys on the Weather Channel reporting from the beach.
Yeah, I think you should chase that dream. It's never too late. You should go for it. You should have gotten on a flight and been down there.
I almost did.
I know.
My wife gave me kind of a green light. I say kind of because there was a but attached to it.
Of course there was.
Now you can go and I'll support you, but we have a kid in college.
Okay, so have you ever been through a hurricane?
Never.
Okay, the thing about hurricanes that a lot of people don't realize if you've never been through one, it's not just the hurricane. They're swirling with tornadoes in there too. So it's like double whammy. Not only do you get the strong winds like this one, I think when it reached land, it was 100 miles per hour, but you also have the tornadoes in there as well. So you've got to deal with all of that. Of course, the power going out, but in the South, they've got all these huge trees, and that's like a real problem when the trees come down because they block the roads, and it can be days and days before they have it cleaned up. So it's not normally as quick to get the power on like we have here in Indiana when a tornado runs through, because we don't have all of these Spanish moss covered trees everywhere, and especially in Tallahassee where this storm hit, because it is like it's a swamp, not the DC swamp, but the other kind of swamp.
Now, let's pump the brakes a little bit on the victory lap for the power system here in Indiana, because we had a gust come through in the summer and people didn't have power for 4 days.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But with the hurricane down there, it can be weeks. And I was talking to the dude last night because it was just a few years ago this time that I was in Tallahassee, and he said, what do you think you would be doing right now? Like, what would we be doing? And I was like, well, we would have known it was coming, so we would already have all of our provisions and supplies. And
boarded up the windows and all that.
And I thought, you know what? I probably would have been at the radio station and hoping that as soon as that power came back on, we could start broadcasting again. Unless, of course, some engineer geek said, you know what, we're going to be out for 2 weeks. You might as well go home. Because once you get somewhere in a hurricane, you're pretty much there. You
bring up the trees earlier, and we talked about that earlier in the show. It's the thing that kind of gets forgotten, right? Because when you think hurricane, you just think winds and storm surge and flooding. But some of the video of these folks that live a little bit inland away from the water, watching these trees fall. And man, when one falls, it's like dominoes, and that's really dangerous.
Yeah, and a lot of the power lines, they're not buried down there. So you know that those trees are falling right on those power lines. And that was when I was in Tallahassee. One of the weird things about the radio station, that why are there so many tree removal services advertising on the radio station? Well, that's why. Because of all of these storms coming in.
Were you ever scared during a hurricane?
I was very scared. One of them, I think it might have been Dolly. When it came through, there was a tornado attached to it, and it was less than a mile from my apartment. And I was very, very scared. And the morning guys, they were really nice. They called me, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, hurricane, this is crazy." But a lot of people for this one were evacuated. I think, what did they evacuate? Like 28 counties they evacuated, and power knocked out.
Casey Daniels with us of the Kendall and Casey Show. Let's bring it a little closer to home here. We had a discussion when I joined your show earlier today for my daily segment about what's happening with the mayor's race here in Indianapolis. So Jefferson Shreve, he puts out this commercial where he's basically saying, listen, the mayor doesn't have any sort of say on what happens with abortion. Although the mayor of a city doesn't have anything to say with the state law about firearms, that didn't seem to bother him there. But he's choosing to sit this one out on abortion. What do you think?
Well, that was interesting. He had another ad that was running where he said he wants to hit problems at the root. He wants to fix the causes of crime, and he'll take control and take responsibility. But the key thing, he said he wants to fight for Indy to have its own laws. And that goes back to the gun. He's not going to be able to do that.
No.
You can't do that. So I didn't know that abortion was becoming an issue with the mayoral race until he made it one, until he brought it to my attention.
Right.
He can't change anything in that regard.
And again, this is what the Democrats want. They want the mayor's race to be about abortion. And even though Shreve is taking the same stance as Joe Hogsett, that's always going to be looked at as something that the Democrats run on.
It's going to be an expensive race. They're saying that this race could possibly be the most expensive mayoral race in the history of races. $15 million is what it's expected to be spent.
Man,
to win
Shreve is spending a lot of money to get boat raced.
Well, in the latest ad he bought in July, he spent over $600,000 on that ad. So is it worth it? I mean, here's the thing. This is a guy, obviously, he's a good businessman, right? He's an entrepreneur. He's been very successful. Does he like wasting his money on this race? Because the message has not been good.
No. He's clearly wasting money on the people that he trusted to run his campaign.
Okay.
You've got a dude that the game has passed by a long time ago and a fat guy. And both of these people are total zeros. And the thing is, and I was all in with Jefferson Shreve when he first announced, because I thought, well, he's got a lot of money. He's got a puncher's chance. That's all I can ask for.
Right.
Hogsett's probably still the favorite. You know, if I'm doing like a handicap here, Hogsett's still the favorite, but Shreve's got the money. He'll at least try and compete. And I was all in. But then he wanted to come out and do ridiculous crap that could never become the law, that basically gives a middle finger to law-abiding citizens here in Indy. And you live here, Casey. I live here, Casey. We each carry legally. We have never had issues with the law. We are not the problem in Indianapolis.
Right.
But this moron and the group that he hired to run his campaign, they're blaming people like us.
Yeah, and he's saying he wants to hit problems at the root. We're not the root. We're not the problem. It would have been so easy. All he had to do was get on camera, look straight into it, and say, you know what? The past couple years have been bad. I'll do better. I mean, he didn't even really need to say what he was going to do different.
No.
Just point out everything horrible that Hogshead has done and say, I'm going to do better than that guy.
My opponent is proposing something that will never become the law. I am focused on things that are going to actually become law in the city of Indianapolis. That's how desperate Joe Hogshead is. And by the way, where was he when we needed him during the riots?
Yep.
That should have been the commercial. That's it. But Game has passed him by, guy, and Lardass, they don't want to seem to do that. And for that reason, Jefferson Shreve is flushing millions of dollars down the toilet.
Right down the toilet.
And a guy who's probably one of, if not the worst mayor that this city has ever seen is going to get elected for the third time.
I mean, Shreve, all he had to do is say, I'm not Hogshead. Vote for me, Jefferson Shreve. And that would have won him more votes. But, and he also claims that Jefferson Shreve, that he's an outsider. He's not a career politician. Okay, he was on the city county council, right?
Everybody says that.
He also ran to be a state senator. Yeah, he's a politician. He wants in big time. So don't sit there and say you're an outsider, because you're not.
What's coming up on the side piece?
Okay, so U.S. News and World Report have released their top high schools in the country. And would you believe it? One in Indiana sits at number 2.
Beech Grove High School.
No, that's not it.
Well, then that list is wrong.
Go to WIBC.com and select the side piece. You can see the entire list right there.
The Kendall and Casey Show, 9 to noon here at 93 WIBC. Casey, thank you.
Thank you.
It's the Hammer and Nigel Show.
Did you know you could pay taxes on as much as 85% of your Social Security benefits? That's right, 85%. And these taxes could take a huge chunk of money you were counting on for retirement. Hello there, it's Terry Stacy. Learn how you could avoid this in a free report. 3 retirement tax traps that could wipe out your savings. It's from Bill Demery, who's been my retirement guy for years now, helping David and I and my parents. This free report reveals 3 retirement tax traps that could wipe out your hard-earned savings. Get your free copy right now by calling 317-349-5212. The last thing you need in retirement is a surprise tax bill. So get your free report right now by calling 317-349-5212. That's 317-349-5212.
School days are here. Fall back into routine with Family Dollar and save more. Start the mornings off right with General Mills, Kellogg's, or Post cereals. Buy one, get one for only $1 with Smart Coupon. Be a lunchtime hero with Ritz, Oreo, or Chips Ahoy family-sized cookies or crackers, 2 for $8.50. Then feed those after-school cravings with snacks like Tyson frozen chicken nuggets, patties, strips, or bites, and save $3 with Smart Coupon. Family Dollar, helping you do more.
Wake up, people. You are optimizing every waking hour of your life. From carpooling kids, to work, to friends, and everything in between. You have to get sleep, and a bed that can perform as well as you do. Meet the next generation Sleep Number Smart Bed. It effortlessly adjusts to your shape, position, and movements, learning how you sleep, so you learn to sleep better, night after night. Sleep next level, only from Sleep Number.
Don't miss our Labor Day special. Save 50% on the Sleep Number Limited Edition Smart Bed, plus free delivery when you add a base. Ends Labor Day.
We buy any car. We buy any car. We buy any car. Any.
Did you know trading in your car at a dealer could cost you money? Research shows consumers who trade in their car pay an average of $990 more. So don't trade in, sell it to We Buy Any Car. Get your free online valuation now at
We Buy Any Car.
Research published in the Journal of Industrial Economics, December 2015, showed buyers with a trade-in pay an average of $990 more than those who do not trade in their used cars.
Marion University Preparatory School is a faith-focused private school providing a flexible learning environment tailored to the individual abilities and interests of each student. MU Prep is still enrolling for the 2023-2024 school year, with many Indiana residents qualifying for significant tuition assistance through the Indiana Choice Scholarship. Learn more at k12.com/Marion. That's k12.com/MARIAN. Marion University Preparatory School, maximizing the potential of every student.
That's Faber's Bean Window. Trust me.
Are you thinking about your next home improvement project, but you need more than a window replacement? Whether it's siding, entry doors, or maybe a bath or shower remodel, design it before you buy it. That's right, B's using the latest in technology to create an architectural design so you can see our products on your house before you purchase. And for a limited time, receive 40% off all products, plus a free entry door and 20 months, no interest, no payments.
Trust me. Buying a diamond has changed. There are mined and lab-grown diamonds. Pierce Jewelers carries both. Pierce can educate you and save your hard-earned money. Shop local. Shop smart. Shop Pierce Jewelers.
Inside Indiana Business Radio, the news you need to get ahead. Indiana's business news leader, weekdays at 6:32 a.m. and 5:56 p.m. on WIBC.
Hey, we're pretty social people at WIBC. You can find us all over social media. See what we're up to on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. We're never more than just away. Just search for 93 WIBC.
Man, Matt Bear, it's a beautiful day. So if anybody is maybe leaving the office a little early, or perhaps they're driving into work, what are they looking at?
They're looking at tough traffic right now, Hammer. Problems on the northwest side with northbound 465 and the crash in I-865 covering the right shoulder, but emergency crews aren't there yet, so traffic just stop and go right now to West 86th Street. That will get worse. Northbound 465 in Lawrence, stop and go from 72 Penn Pike. Inbound 65, stop and go traffic MLK to Meridian Penn, and eastbound 70 jams at Holt Slow to the South Split. Traffic sponsored by Family Dollar. Family Dollar has more to help you stay ahead of the class. Stock up and save on staples like cereal, cookies, crackers, and Tyson frozen chicken. Family Dollar, helping you do more. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
Sunshine and 74 at the American Standard Cooling Weather Center at 93 WIBC.
You're listening to the Hammer and Nigel Show.
Coming up here in just a few minutes, the latest on the hurricane and the latest on Mitch McConnell, who froze up again at a speaking event in Kentucky. We'll talk about that coming up. Plus, a round of Ask the Gun Guy coming up around 5:20. So stick around for that. But man, a night with WIBC, Guy. It's right around the corner. It's happening October 4th at the Indiana Historical Society. It's where we've had it the first couple of years. And it's one of my favorite events of the year. We all get together. You know, there's a stage show. Each show does a little something themselves. We have a party. We have some drinks. We talk a little shop. And I'm excited for it. Tickets are on sale right now.
Oh, man, it's like my favorite event ever. I have such a good time at this. And I've come on and been part of your guys' presentation before. I hope we get to do that again. But it's so much fun to meet the listeners, be able to, talk to them directly, get feedback from them. It's just a lot of fun. I have always had the best time at that event. There are cocktails. There's a reception beforehand, I think, for like VIP ticket holders. And it's just a great, great time. And I've always enjoyed it. I'm glad that WIBC is going to continue to do it.
And thank you to Relay Indiana. We could not do this event without our amazing sponsors. And as of this morning, 90 tickets were remaining. That's it.
It always sells out.
Yeah, it went quick yesterday. More than half the tickets were gone yesterday. So as of this morning, less than 90 were remaining. So if you want to come out for a great night, hear some of the stuff that we're told we're not allowed to say on the radio.
Exactly. And the FCC is not monitoring this presentation.
100%. It's going to be a fun night. And get your tickets at WIBC.com. And if you want to pay an extra $15, you can get a t-shirt for the event as well. So all that information right there, WIBC.com. And I mean this when I say it. Please take care of our sponsors of this radio station, because let's be honest, there's a lot of people out there that don't like the fact that we have this amazing platform to speak the truth every time we come in. Whether it's sponsors for Tony, Kendall and Casey, Hammer and Nigel, the Gun Guy Show, Tony Kennett, Abdul, Ethan, on the weekends with Saturday Night on the Circle. Please take care of all the sponsors at WIBC, because not only do they keep us on the air, they support what we do. they say, hey, I want to be partnered with you guys. You guys do great work, but I also support what you do. And I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, and you know what? I've had some great conversations. I mean, I'll be there during the reception time before the actual show starts, and it's just so much fun. Just sit there and shake hands and just get to meet listeners and get to have face-to-face conversations with them. And, you know, I'm pretty low on the list. I mean, people are there to see you and Nigel and Tony Katz, of course. But it's just so much fun for me. I mean, I'm there almost as much as a fan as I am, you know, as being part of the broadcast team here. And I just have a great time. I'm thrilled whenever they schedule it because I always just have a blast.
But two of the biggest rock stars every year are you, Guy, and Matt Baer. Like the amount of applause that Matt Baer gets from the single moms in the crowd that are there in their hoochie mama dresses that they used to wear at Ike and Jonesy's.
The cheers that Matt Baer get are always about 2 octaves higher than mine. It's a different audience that's cheering for Matt, and I think it's largely female, I think, that's reacting to Matt Baer.
They're looking forward to the overnight with WIBC. When Matt Baer comes on the stage. So again, tickets are going real quick. It will sell out. So jump to WIBC.com, get your tickets, and I promise you, you are going to have a good time at the Indiana Historical Society on, I believe it's Wednesday, October 4th. And thank you again to Relay Indiana. All right, do not go anywhere. Coming up next, the latest on the hurricane and Mitch McConnell freezing up again. We're going to have some tough conversations. We'll do that next.
All Hoosier families want the best for their kids, but parents of children with autism face special challenges, and they're counting on Governor Eric Holcomb. Thousands of Indiana children with autism are enrolled in applied behavior analysis therapy centers. ABA centers provide a safe learning environment where parents know their children will be understood and taught lifelong skills. But the Holcomb administration has proposed deep Medicaid cuts that could force ABA centers to close. Kate is the mother of a son with autism.
As a single mom, caring for a son with autism can feel very overwhelming. Luckily, I got my son into an ABA center near our home. Since then, he's learned so many life skills to help keep him safe and give him a brighter and more independent future. It would crush our family if we were to lose this option. Governor Holcomb, you're our only hope. Please stop these devastating Medicaid cuts.
Governor Holcomb, listen to Hoosier families and ensure children with autism in Indiana get the care they deserve. Paid for by Indiana Act for Families.
College football fans, are you ready for week 1? DraftKings Sportsbook is hooking you up with a can't-miss offer to start the season strong. This week, new customers can bet just $5 on college football and score $200 in bonus bets instantly. Anything can happen in college football. Your team could go from unranked to dynasty mode in just a couple of years. Change comes fast. The only thing that's a lock is the great offers from DraftKings Sportsbook. Life's more fun when you're in on the action. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and use code WIBC. New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on college football. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code WIBC. The crown is yours. Must be 21 or older. Indiana only. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. Income may be subject to state, local, or federal alternative minimum tax.
The stock market dropped by
Inflation
over
continues
Federal
to
Reserve
be a
raised
challenge
interest
for
rates.
retail.
Let's face it, investing can feel pretty scary and overwhelming these days, especially if you're retired or close to retirement, which is why you should consider investing in municipal bonds from Henny & Walsh. Municipal bonds can provide a source of federally tax-free retirement income. Plus, an investment in municipal bonds is an investment in America. Municipal bonds help finance major civil projects across the country, like the Golden Gate Bridge and Hoover Dam, as well as local roads, bridges, and schools. Call 1-800-761-9761 right now for our informative free bond guide and learn how you can earn tax-free retirement income while investing in America's future. Just dial 1-800-761-9761 for the free Henny & Walsh bond guide. There's no cost and no obligation. 1-800-761-9761.
Henny & Walsh Inc., member of FINRA and SIPC.
There are more identity threats than you realize. Even if you monitor your credit, only a little personal info needs to leak out, like your social security number or password,
for you to become a victim.
LifeLock alerts you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to LifeLock.com.
Get ready to save with Spectrum One. You get Spectrum Internet delivering fast and reliable speeds for $49.99 a month. Free advanced Wi-Fi for enhanced privacy and security. And a free Spectrum mobile line with unlimited talk, text, and data, plus nationwide 5G. Go to spectrum.com/save more and use the Spectrum One savings calculator to see how much you can save today. Offer subject to change. Valid for qualified residential customers only. Service not available in all areas. Restrictions apply.
Your local news coming up after Fox News Radio from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis.
Downgraded as it continues a fast track through South Georgia and the Carolinas as a rainmaker and flood threat after carving a path across Florida's Big Bend area.
This is something that is a really big deal.
Governor Ron DeSantis in Perry, Florida. Idalia's landfall as a Category 3 hurricane earlier today, the strongest storm in that part of the state in more than a century.
There's parts of Florida that have had these things happen, and they've built up infrastructure, and in response to it, well, this part of the state hasn't necessarily seen a storm like this in quite some time.
President Biden speaking with all of the affected governors today, offering as much federal support as needed. New York's governor visiting the White House for a meeting with staffers on migration, a day after the New York City mayor called on the federal government to stop the flow of migrants into the city, which is averaging 10,000 a month. White House spokeswoman Karine Jean-Pierre accuses Republicans in Congress of playing politics.
Republicans refuse to give the funding necessary to deal with a situation, a broken immigration system that has been broken for decades.
She also says it's up to Congress to address work authorization rules for asylum seekers, something else New York has called for. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell freezes in front of reporters again, this time in his home state, Kentucky.
He was taking questions from reporters at a Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce event.
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
And then silence for several seconds. A woman standing nearby asked him if he heard the question, then announced, "We're going to need a minute." He did go on to answer more questions, but not about re-election.
Fox's Jill Nato. Last month, McConnell left a Capitol Hill news conference after freezing and then returned to answer more questions. America is listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level. On the go.
Why they're changing how they operate. A few clouds over the circle. It's 74 degrees in Indy. All clear on the radar. Low temps fall to the lower 50s tonight. Tom Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending at 5:02. The death of a Marion County deputy has led to a complete overhaul of the department's protocols. Donnie Burgess reports.
It's an unspoken truth that when our deputies leave their homes to come to work, they don't know whether they'll come back at the end of the day.
Deputy John Durham was murdered in July. Sheriff Kerry Forstall says at the end of the day, Durham's death is on suspect Orlando Mitchell's hands. But it was a lack of resources and staff that contributed to Durham's death.
Less manpower leads to deputies taking on more responsibilities, which leads to an increased risk, which can lead to tragedy.
It was a Cumberland cop that found Deputy Durham dead on that day, and this is where you would have heard audio. But just after Wednesday's press conference, the Marion County Sheriff's Office received a court order restricting them or anyone else from sharing any part of the death video again. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
State police are having to respond to more shootings on the interstate over the last 4 years.
Yeah, we've seen an alarming increase since 2019 of the investigations we're conducting on interstate shootings, most specifically shootings that are a result of road rage incidents.
Sergeant John Perrine says there have been nearly 40 highway shootings this year. First Lady Jill Biden spent some time at Westfield High School today. It's part of a trip to meet with and encourage teachers in the Midwest. She also spoke with students about the importance of mental health. You've heard all about Colts running back Jonathan Taylor's contract dispute. Indianapolis General Manager Chris Ballard says the whole situation sucks.
Things like this happen. I tell every rookie that comes in, there's going to be a point when we disagree, and it's usually about money.
Ballard says he refuses to quit on the relationship, and he believes the Colts medical staff can get Taylor ready for the regular season. A trade for the running back, though, is still on the table. You're 1 minute away from traffic and weather. It's 5:04.
Stop right now and ask yourself, what is most important to you? Hey, this is Casey Weed at Howard Bailey Financial, the official wealth management partner of Notre Dame Athletics. We believe in developing retirement plans driven by what is most important to you, your purpose. Then we can build what we call your financial life plan, made up of 4 main pillars: liquidity for emergencies, income to last a lifetime, flexibility to adapt, estate planning to maximize your legacy, and finally, tax planning to maximize what you can spend and pass on. To learn more about saving on your taxes, get your free digital tax guide. Just call or text TAX42 to 866-482-9559. That's TAX42 to 866-482-9559.
Notre Dame Athletics was compensated for this endorsement and is not a current client of Howard Bailey. For more information, please visit howardbailey.com/ND disclosure. Investment advisory services may be offered through Howard Bailey Securities LLC, a registered investment advisor. Working with Howard Bailey Securities LLC cannot guarantee investment success or that specific financial goals will be achieved.
With traffic on the 5s at 5:05, here's Matt Bear.
All right, Harrison, looking at the northwest side, we are stopped on northbound 465 from 79th into 865. It is a crash blocking the right lane. Crash 46 at College Avenue, and then we have eastbound 465 that's stop and go right now, Westfield Boulevard to Allisonville Road. Southbound 65 loaded into downtown from MLK to Meridian Penn. Eastbound 70 stop and go from Tibbs Avenue to Meridian, Illinois. Traffic sponsored by Irish Spring. Fill your shower with the fresh, clean scent of Irish Spring and those sensational Irish Spring suds. Irish Spring, when the spring hits you, you're ready. Pick up Irish Spring today. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
And the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
A mild and partly cloudy afternoon turns into a clear and cool evening with low temperatures in the lower 50s for the morning hours and really nothing else going on other than a light breeze out of the northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour overnight. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Junior Suiters for 93 WIBC.
And I'm Harrison Silcox on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Hammer and Nigel.
Can you believe these characters are weirdos? So
It's the Hammer and Nigel show. I'm Jason Hammer, and Nigel is out today. The gun guy, Guy Relford, filling in. And you heard the news at the top of the hour. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell had another situation today where he froze up. Now, this happened to him about a month or two ago. He was in Washington and was doing a speech and just froze. Like people thought that he had a stroke. Turned out to be, he was okay, never really missed much work. But the problem is he's so old that you're concerned that it might happen again. And today it did. So while he was in Kentucky delivering a speech, Mitch McConnell froze up. Now, we're going to play you the audio. He's there with a female staff member, his assistant, his aide. You're going to hear Mitch McConnell begin to speak and then freeze up. And his aide has to come in and try to rescue him a little bit.
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026? All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute.
And he's just frozen, like catatonic, Guy.
That's how it was last time.
Exactly. It's the exact same situation that happened last time. And listen, we have to have a real conversation here. Not only us, in this room, you listening on the radio, this country. We have to stop electing people who are so old and decrepit, okay? Now, there are some folks that are old that still got that zip, that zest. They still got it. But there are some folks that clearly don't. Well, and we're talking about Fetterman. We're talking about Joe Biden. And in this case, we're talking about McConnell. Now, Fetterman's not old, right? But his health is in decline.
Yeah, the question I have, and I'm a little split on this, is, we have minimum ages to run for office. Should there be a maximum age to be in Congress or to be president of the United States? I mean, Think about that. I mean, I'm all about hands-off government, and I believe it ultimately it ought to be up to the voters. But man, look at the number of people that are clearly struggling with their age right now. I put Nancy Pelosi squarely in that category. Dianne Feinstein's been gone for a while.
Right.
And I'm sorry, our president struggles and in ways that is absolutely embarrassing. But then, you got to put Mitch McConnell in that same group. Should there be a maximum age to hold office like congressman or senator?
They make airline pilots retire at like 65.
Right.
And a lot of them are like, hey, I'm perfectly fine. I'll take any cognitive test, vision test you want to take. I just want to continue to go. In Washington, you can be one of the most powerful people on the planet, dictating what you pay in taxes, how our country is secured, and just be out of your mind. And we were talking off the air, Guy. Where are the spouses at here?
Oh, man, exactly.
If you are the wife of Joe Biden, of John Fetterman.
I put that top of the list.
Mitch McConnell, Republicans and Democrats here. How could you let somebody you allegedly love go up there knowing they're deteriorating their own health and making a fool of themselves at the same time? How could you let somebody you love do that?
Well, yeah, and along the same lines, I mean, if they're at risk for stroke or other age-related injuries, not that you have to be old to have a stroke, but it certainly exacerbates the potential. Then you're endangering your health as well, and that's why you and I had that conversation off the air, which is. Should there? Where are the spouses if they're truly concerned about the health of these people? But I'll tell you what the solution probably is at the end of the day, which not only serves the interest of the public but solves a lot of other problems, and that's just term limits. I mean, term limits fix all this. Then you don't have, a Nancy Pelosi going senile in public. You don't have a Dianne Feinstein losing all her capacities in public, and frankly, McConnell's right there in the same camp.
Trotting your spouse out there in these conditions, like one could make a case it's almost elder abuse.
Yeah.
Right? Knowing they're going to humiliate themselves. Dianne Feinstein doesn't know what's happening at meetings. Her aides basically have to vote for her. Mitch McConnell has frozen up twice now, and that's not counting the stories where we've heard he's fallen downstairs. I mean, these are people that need care. I don't know if it's a nursing home, if it's an in-home nurse. They need care. They don't need to be making decisions for the American people. And the Republicans, I'm sorry, you have to have a meeting ASAP, and you have to replace Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, because not only, is he an elected senator, he's minority leader. That's a hugely important position, especially when you have such a small majority in the Senate that the Democrats currently hold.
The latest on the hurricane that barreled its way through Florida early this morning, now in parts of Georgia and South Carolina. 2 people have lost their lives so far. That's the last report that we had. Mass flooding, wind damage, trees being knocked down. That's a big problem. Here's Florida's governor, Ron DeSantis, just a few hours ago.
Well, good afternoon. The eye of Hurricane Idalia has left the state of Florida. The state is still being impacted by the storm's bands, and we're seeing that particularly in the northern part of the state. So far, there have been 262,000 accounts that had lost power have been restored, and there are more than 250,000 accounts that are currently out of power and in need of restoration. As you'd imagine, the counties that have the highest percentage of power outages are the counties that were in the main pathway of the storm. Utility workers are actively working to restore power in all affected areas, and they have started doing that as soon as it was safe to do so. So those restoration efforts are ongoing.
Now, there are a lot more people without power now. Every hour that goes by, more people don't have power because now we're including Georgia. Now we're including South Carolina. They're getting the brunt of this storm. And it made its way landfall around 8 a.m. today, Guy. If there's any silver lining with this hurricane, the place that it went through, this Big Bend area of Florida, probably the lowest populated area of places that this thing could have landed. I mean, had this thing made a turn and went right into Tampa, you'd be talking about some major problems here.
Yeah, and Florida is really, really good at responding to these things too. I mean, they'll have something major like this go through, and it seems like they recover so quickly and they get people's power on so quickly. And that's why we were both, very critical of the utilities here in Indiana when, we got, and this is probably minimizing it in an unfair way, but we got a little bit of wind, and all of a sudden you had people without power for days, over a week.
4 days, yeah. 5 days.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little embarrassing.
So Ron DeSantis handling things in Florida, again, we talked about this earlier. He might not have the charisma to resonate nationwide, to be the front runner in a presidential field, but based off of governing, decision-making, and handling situations like this, man, I think I'd take Ron DeSantis over anybody in the country.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I really, really wish he was doing better in the polls for president because I think he'd be a great candidate. I think he'd be a great president.
All right, let's open up the phone lines here because anytime we have Guy Relford filling in for Nige, which seems like it's about every week, we like to do a round of Ask the Gun Guy. It's something you do on your own program on the weekend here. And the way I see it, we've got the best 2A attorney in America here for your disposal. Let's go. If you have a question about what you can do in certain situations, any gun-related question at all, 2A-related question at all, bring it on. We'll get to as many calls as we can. 239-9393. That's 239-9393. We're doing a round of Ask the Gun Guy next on the Hammer and Nigel show. Matt Bear standing by with a look at the roads.
All right, Hammer crash on the northwest side. It's northbound 465 and I-865. It's blocking the right lane and stopping traffic back to 79th Street. I have a 21-minute delay on that. Also, inbound 65, stop and go, MLK to Meridian Penn. Eastbound 70, stop and go traffic from Tibbs Avenue to Meridian, Illinois. That's a crash 46 at College Avenue. Another one 59th at Lee. Traffic sponsored by IU Health. 24/7 ER care for kids available at Riley Children's Health at IU Health North in Carmel. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
Man, beautiful day. Shaping up to be a beautiful night. Have the windows open. 74 at the American Standard Cooling Weather Center. Your calls. Ask the Gun Guy next.
All Hoosier families want the best for their kids, but parents of children with autism face special challenges, and they're counting on Governor Eric Holcomb. Thousands of Indiana children with autism are enrolled in applied behavior analysis therapy centers. ABA centers provide a safe learning environment where parents know their children will be understood and taught lifelong skills. But the Holcomb administration has proposed deep Medicaid cuts that could force ABA centers to close. Kate is the mother of a son with autism.
As a single mom, caring for a son with autism can feel very overwhelming. Luckily, I got my son into an ABA center near our home. Since then, he's learned so many life skills to help keep him safe and give him a brighter and more independent future. It would crush our family if we were to lose this option. Governor Holcomb, you're our only hope. Please stop these devastating Medicaid cuts.
Governor Holcomb, listen to Hoosier families and ensure children with autism in Indiana get the care they deserve. Paid for by Indiana Act for Families.
From the windows to the walls to the amazing way your house is going to look with Window Nation windows. Hammer here from the Hammer and Nigel show. And listen, Indiana weather's crazy. It's like 105 one day. Next day, it's a low in the 50s. This is why it's so important to get the best windows on the market. And that is where Window Nation comes in. And these windows are energy efficient. So if you got the AC on in the house, the hot air stays out and your energy bill will be lower as a result. I know this because I'm a customer. And right now, it's so easy to get the best windows on the market because they've got an amazing deal. Window Nation windows, 50% off all styles. Bows, bays, double hung, you name it, half off. And on top of that, zero money down, zero payments, zero interest for 2 years. What are you waiting for? Call Window Nation today. 866-90-NATION or go to windownation.com. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
Did you know you could pay taxes on as much as 85% of your Social Security benefits? That's right, 85%. And these taxes could take a huge chunk of money you were counting on for retirement. Hello there, it's Terry Stacy. Learn how you could avoid this in a free report. 3 retirement tax traps that could wipe out your savings. It's from Bill Demery, who's been my retirement guy for years now, helping David and I and my parents. This free report reveals 3 retirement tax traps that could wipe out your hard-earned savings. Get your free copy right now by calling 317-349-5212. The last thing you need in retirement is a surprise tax bill. So get your free report right now by calling 317-349-5212. That's 317-349-5212.
That's Mike saying good morning. It's the best he can do right now. Yeah, not a cloud in the sky. What Mike could use is a fresh start. And Irish Spring Body Wash. The fresh scent of Irish Spring and those sensational Irish Spring suds are just the reset Mike needs. Now he's ready
to go to work.
It's Sunday. Irish Spring. When the spring hits you, you're ready. Pick up Irish Spring at Walmart today.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by Pierce Jewelers, Carmel's full-service jewelry store.
The only way to bag a classy lady is to give her 2 tickets to the gun show. Watch out for the guns. They'll get you.
Guy Relford.
Stop calling your arms guns.
Hammer and Nigel show.
Oh, look at Kylan with the edit on the fly, baby.
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
impressive.
I see you. Hey, that type of editing for a radio nerd like me, I tip my cap. Well done.
It's an honor.
Not many people get excited about an edit, but damn, that was good. Guy Relford is here. It's time to ask the gun guy. So this is how it's going to work. We're going to get as many calls in as we can until we have to hit a break. So these are the rules. Make your question quick. Don't ramble on. Don't tell us a 5-minute story. And just keep it clean. That's all we ask. Other than that, let's rock and roll. Buzz, get us going, my man. You got Guy Relford here.
Hey, Guy. Back in 1979, they used to have concerts on 67. You were a member of the Bear Patrol, and we came in and had a couple of plugged watermelons with some rum and tequila, and that was you that kept coming up wanting another cup of the watermelon, wasn't it?
Well, Buzz, I don't remember that specifically, but I was a member of the Bear Force, and I love a plugged watermelon, especially with tequila, so that doesn't surprise me a bit.
If you're drinking the plugged watermelon the right way, you're not supposed to remember it, Guy.
Well, that's a really good point, but yeah, thanks for that memory, Buzz.
Uh-huh.
All right, let's go to Southside Sparky. Southside Sparky, welcome to the Hammer and Nigel show. Guy Relford's here.
Hey, thank you very much. I got a pertinent question for Guy, and I got a personal question for you, Hammer. Guy, got a theoretical for you. If I just recently heard on the radio that if you've got a medical card for marijuana, it's illegal to own a firearm. Is there any way to possibly get rid of that medical card and to be able to legally own again? And then for you, Hammer, I'm the same age as you. I went to Ball State the same time you did. I was in the Animal House Sigma Nu at the time. My question is, were you a Sigma Chi for a TCOM major? Just curious. Thanks, guys. So,
Guy, you've got the more important answer, so you go first.
I'm interested to hear what you're going to say, but yeah, I'll answer the question. The federal statute says you cannot possess a firearm if you're a user of or addicted to any illegal drugs. Even in those states that have legalized either recreational marijuana or medical marijuana or both, marijuana remains on the schedule of controlled substances under the federal Controlled Substances Act of 1970, so it's still an illegal drug under federal law. So yes, if you're in a state, and this doesn't apply to us here in Indiana since we don't have marijuana cards, we don't have legalized marijuana, but in those states that do have legalized marijuana, yeah, if you go get a medical marijuana card and you establish through a government record that you're a user of marijuana, you've lost your Second Amendment rights, and they get notifications to that degree. If you go buy a gun today and fill out the 4473 form that you fill out in the gun store, which is essentially your application to buy a gun, it'll say right on there, are you a user of or addicted to any illegal drug? And it'll say, including marijuana in those states where marijuana is legalized. So that is absolutely true. The way to fix it is to get marijuana off of the Controlled Substances Act schedule at the federal level. Then that removes that prohibition. Then we don't have to worry about it. And there have been bills introduced, we just can't get them passed. But, it's stupid that marijuana not only is on the controlled substances list, it's right up there with the most addictive, least beneficial drugs. It's right up there with meth and coke and heroin, which is completely ridiculous when you're talking about, a natural plant that grows out of the ground. So that's it. I mean, and the way to get your rights back is give up your card, quit using the marijuana in those states. But you still got to worry about the fact there's that record where you've documented the fact that you're a user of, at least at the federal level, an illegal drug.
And to answer your question for me, Sparky, I was never in a fraternity at Ball State, partied at them bunch of times, had buddies that were in them. I lived in a couple houses off campus, and it was like a fraternity. I had some of the rowdiest, most hardcore partying dudes alive in that house. Like, I was the choir boy of the house.
Oh, come on.
And I was the Hot Mess Express. Like, I would come home from class and see my roommates doing some things that I feel like I can't even begin to mention on these airwaves.
See, I was a SAE, Sigma Alpha Epsilon, at DePauw University, but at DePauw, everybody lived in a house. Like 90% of the student population was either in a sorority or fraternity. It was just their housing system. And we weren't really all that crazy. In fact, I went to one of the less crazy houses there just because I thought, between football and trying to study, I didn't really want to go into one of the really crazy ones.
Let's go to Mark. Welcome to the Hammer and Nigel Show, Mark. We got Guy Relford here.
Hey, Guy. Quick question here. I know Indiana passed the concealed carry, but my question is, if you are prescribed a controlled substance, can you still conceal carry?
Yeah, if you're prescribed by a doctor and it's legal, then that doesn't eliminate your ability to carry.
Now if Matt Bear prescribes it for you, then all bets are off.
Well, that's exactly right. But it also depends. If it is a drug that treats a mental illness, and you've ever been committed against your will, for instance, and under the wording of the federal statute, you've been adjudicated to be mentally defective, as obnoxious and insulting as that language is, that's the language of the federal statute, then you may have an issue. But no, if you're just taking a prescription drug prescribed to you by a doctor, that in and of itself doesn't end your ability to carry a gun.
Let's go to Dale. Dale, welcome to the Hammer and Nigel Show. We got Guy Relford here.
Hey, how you doing?
All right.
I got a question. I went and got myself a rifle.
Uh-huh.
I'm 61 years old, and I still had to fill out the form.
Yep.
I told the guy, if you read the questions, and I'll answer him, this will go a lot quicker. The owner of the shop said, you can't do that. I got to answer all the questions myself. Is that right or wrong?
Yeah, you're not supposed to get any assistance at the gun store in filling out. That's that same 4473 form I was just talking about. The idea that if they read you the questions, you answer it, and they would just mark your answer down. In and of itself, does that violate some law? It may, because the regulations associated with that form typically are that you have to fill that out yourself and you can't get any assistance. And you have to verify at the end of the day that everything on there is accurate, because if you put something inaccurate on there and still certify it, that's actually a violation of law. If you lie on that form, or the government can prove you lied on that form, that's 10 years in federal prison. So I could see a gun store saying, oh, hell no, we're not going to fill this thing out for you, because if you say yes in answer to a question and we screw up and mark no, then we just sent you to prison, and there could be liability associated with that. And for that reason, I've never researched that specifically, but I wouldn't be a bit surprised if there's a regulation that you have to fill that form out yourself.
All right, James, Jim, and Joshua, we ran out of time. Hang on the line, though. Guy, could you take some calls off the air?
Yeah, quickly I can.
All right, so you guys hang on the line. Guy will take your calls off the air. We've got Tony Kennett coming up next, and we're going to talk about Joe Hogsett. Where was he during the riots, and why doesn't Jefferson Shreve try to use that to his advantage in the mayor's race in Indianapolis? That is coming up right after a look at the news with Harrison Silcox.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
It's forced the department to make some changes. 75 degrees, sunny in downtown Indianapolis. Your radar's clear. You've got a low of 53 tonight. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending at 5:30. The video showing the death of a Marion County Sheriff's Deputy John Durham was shown Wednesday during a press conference. The Sheriff's Office has since received a court order stopping that video from being shared again. Sheriff Kerry Forrestall says the department has overhauled its inmate transport policies.
While no number of protocols or additional staff can eliminate all risk, we're firmer to our commitment to make meaningful changes to reflect our dedication to continuous improvement, and most importantly, honor the memory of the life we lost.
2 deputies were supposed to be with Durham that day, but he was alone. Those 2 deputies have since been fired. A man from New Jersey will spend the next 15 years in prison for having a sexual relationship with a 15-year-old in Indiana. Sasha Nixon reports.
According to the Department of Justice, Arnold Castillo contacted and groomed the teenager last year. Eventually, Castillo arranged for an Uber to bring the girl to his home in New Jersey. There, he sexually abused her and asked others to buy her Plan B pills so she wouldn't get pregnant. After prison, he will face another 20 years of supervision by the U.S. Probation Office, and he must pay restitution. Sasha Nixon, 93, WIBC Mobile News.
President Biden says him working with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on hurricane recovery is not motivated by politics.
I think he trusts my judgment and my desire to help, and I trust him to be able to suggest that this is not about politics, it's about taking care of the people of the state.
It's not the first time the two have worked together on hurricane recovery. Hurricane Idalia moved into Georgia today as a Category 1 storm. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell froze in front of reporters again today.
It happened in Covington, Kentucky, McConnell's home state. He was taking questions from reporters at a Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce event.
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
And then silence for several seconds. A woman standing nearby asked him if he heard the question, then announced, "We're going to need a minute." He did go on to answer more questions, but not about re-election.
Fox's Jill Nato. The contract dispute between Jonathan Taylor and the Indianapolis Colts is a first for General Manager Chris Ballard.
I care deeply for Jonathan Taylor. I have great respect for Jonathan Taylor.
He says he won't give up on the relationship, though. He wants to see him succeed here in Indianapolis. Ballard admits the situation sucks and is overshadowing the young stars in the team. And with traffic at 5:32, here's Matt Bear.
Harrison looking at a crash clear northbound 465 and 865 stop to 79th Street. Also eastbound 465 stop traffic from Westfield Boulevard to Ellisonville Road. Southbound 65 stop and go from MLK to Meridian Penn. And eastbound 70 stop and go traffic from Tibbs Avenue into Meridian, Illinois. That is a crash. 46 at College. Another Kessler Boulevard east west of Ellisonville Road. Traffic sponsored by LASIK Vision Institute. The LASIK Vision Institute is making LASIK even more affordable. Get $1,000 off LASIK when treated in September. That's $500 off per eye plus guaranteed financing. Get LASIK, LVILASIK.com for details. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
And the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
A mild and partly cloudy afternoon turns into a clear and cool evening with low temperatures in the lower 50s for the morning hours and really nothing else going on other than a light breeze out of the northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour overnight. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Drew Suiters for 93 WIBC.
And I'm Harrison Silcox. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
You're listening to the Hammer and Nigel Show.
It is the Hammer and Nigel Show. I'm Jason Hammer. Guy Relford filling in for Big Nige today. And let's go to the drivehubler.com hotline and bring on investigative reporter from the Daily Signal and coming soon, nightly radio host here at WIBC, Tony Kennett, the Tonus. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Mayor's race, more commercials are coming out. All of a sudden now abortion is the hot topic for the mayor's race in Indianapolis. Joe Hogsett's made it perfectly clear that he is all in on abortion anytime, anywhere. He loves it, can't get enough of it. And his opponent, Jefferson Shreve, puts out a commercial basically saying, look, it's not the mayor's job to talk about abortion, which I find to be incredibly rich, Tony, because it's not the mayor's job to try to change the state law on firearms, but hot damn, Jefferson Shreve had no problem with that.
Remember when I told you guys a few weeks ago that this would be the next thing Shreve would likely change on? I told everyone, I said, look, if he's willing to sacrifice his position and his principles on gun rights, what other conservative and Republican moral high grounds is he going to step off of? And I said, is it going to be abortion? And here we are. He immediately deflecting and saying, well, I don't think that the mayor should say anything about these policies. Hey, fun fact, if you're a politician, you're expected to have opinions on politics. I know that's shocking to a lot of people, but if you run for office, people are going to ask you about the politics that are going on in the area that you're serving. That's just a fact of life. That's just how those things go. So when you take a look at Shreve, who, by the way, has the opposition running ability of a dead moose in the middle of a highway, I don't really understand. I mean, it's so easy to punch Joe Hogsett. It's so easy to win this election, and he's doing everything he can to make himself cancerous to the people of Indianapolis.
You're right, and it's a total deflection because you watch the abortion commercial from Shreve. He mentions he's a Catholic and family values are this and that to him. But he goes on to say that, it's not the mayor's job to take police officers away from what's going on, to arrest doctors and people having abortions. So it was a total deflection. But you're so right, Tony. There are so many things that you could beat Joe Hogsett up on. Why even dip your toe into the abortion water? Why not just...
Where was he during the riots?
Right.
And by the way, why has he also not released his medical information over the last couple of years? I mean, there's all kinds of sketchy stuff that was going around concerning Hogsett and his medical records. Shreve's not touching it. Why? Because perhaps that information would reveal that Hogsett is unfit to be mayor of Indianapolis, or maybe there are some questions that the state or the feds should be asking about Joe Hogsett. Shreve isn't touching that. Why? Well, because he has campaign managers that are more obsessed over weird moderate Republican poll numbers out of Chicago than they are about Indianapolis.
Let's get back into Hogsett for a minute because I think this is very interesting. Now, I don't know if you can answer this or not, but you're an investigative reporter, so I'm going to run this by you. We all know what the rumors are. Let's not act like we don't know what the rumors are. Joe Hogsett rumored, allegedly, in rehab during the riots in Indianapolis. Let's just play ball here. If that were indeed the case, Tony, let's just say he was in rehab somewhere in the state of Indiana. Would that have to be on a medical report or not?
Yes, that would be, especially after I may or may not have spoken to one of the nurses that worked at said rehab facility. So I don't know, but let's just say if there was a nurse off the record who communicated to me that if Joe Hogsett happened to be at this particular rehab facility, not visiting, like when you're in Monopoly and you're visiting jail, but checked into said rehab facility because, you have a problem. You're the mayor of Indianapolis, but you can't keep it together yourself. Then perhaps it should be on your medical record, and perhaps the people who have elected you to serve should know about that. I have one policy regarding people I vote in. I should get to know everything about you because I am electing you to hold the responsibilities that govern this area that I have elected you to. So, yeah, I think that Hogsett's medical records should be released. You'd think Shreve would ask about it. But again, the dude has the political acumen of a dead, rotting tree stump.
Is it required for these candidates to turn in their medical forms? Because for years we kept hearing about Donald Trump's taxes. He won't turn in his taxes. We heard about that for years. Is it required that medical information be turned in from these candidates?
No, not according to the Indiana Constitution, not according to anything in the federal Constitution. We only started collecting long-term medical records in the 20th century. There are no grand sweeping statutes. It's considered a good faith thing to show. And by the way, it's also a nice political football. I'm willing to be more transparent with you than my opponent has been a great argument for the entirety of human history. And so while it's not a legal requirement, it is in some states. In Nebraska and Louisiana and in Texas, there are regions where certain financial and medical documents are required to be submitted. Indiana's not one of them yet. But I mean, given some of the things that I know about some of our legislators and higher officials, I understand that you may not want that kind of a law to be on the books.
It's almost September. We're electing the mayor in November, and Jefferson Shreve has not gone after Joe Hogsett for being missing during the riots. And again, I told this to Rob earlier, Tony. I'm not mad that Joe Hogsett went to rehab. Hell, I hope he got the help that he needed. What I'm mad about was when this city was under siege, who was calling the shots? Who told the IMPD to stand down? Who was making those decisions? Because Joe Hogsett was elected to make those decisions, but if he was in rehab, that's a problem.
I have a very simple policy when it comes to political officials, or if I ever ran for office, or heck, even how I handle my journalism. I have no skeletons in the closet, period. Ask me whatever you want, and I will own up to those decisions. And you know what? If I'm unfit to be someone that you read or someone that someday you vote in for office, then you won't vote for me, and that's just how that goes. But whenever an individual clings to some kind of secret closet door that they want to shut out from the public, that arises some really decent questions, which you hit right on the head. Who was calling the shots? Who allowed the windows of Fogo de Chao to get smashed in while the police, I guess, just kind of stood idly by because they weren't allowed to move in at that particular moment? Those are questions that I have. And not just the wealthier establishment buildings in the downtown, but I mean, people were parading through neighborhoods and again, chasing individuals down on some side streets just for standing there. That was a horrible moment in Indianapolis history, and Joe Hogsett treated it with the flippancy of a maid who was fired 2 weeks ago but is still forced to come to work.
And Joe Hogsett does not run his own Twitter account. We know this. We believe it was his assistant, Thomas Cook, that put the tweet out in the wee hours of the morning after night number 1. And then night number 2, which everybody knew was coming. Everybody in the city knew that Saturday was going to be the exact same, if not worse, than what Friday was in Indianapolis. Mayor was nowhere to be found. We didn't see Joe Hogsett again until Sunday morning when he came out and blamed the police for things. And Jefferson Shreve will not go after Joe Hogsett because of that. It baffles me, Tony.
I want to make one thing crystal clear to every single person who is currently listening to this. The people who you elect to office rarely, if ever, run their positions. These are the college interns that they hire to be staffers. I'm talking in the mayor's offices. I'm talking about the representatives and the senators in the Indiana State House. The individuals who are often between the ages of 19 and 30 who Google things to solve all of their problems are the ones who are doing the majority of the running in your state and local governments. Because these individuals are often too lazy or too fool-focused to do their jobs. And Joe Hogsett is yet another clear example of that kind of inadequacy and ineptitude.
One more thing here before we take a break, and I really think this is important, and I don't want to gloss this over because you kind of threw a bomb at me earlier. You may or may not have spoken with someone in the rehab facility that Joe Hogsett allegedly was rumored to be in?
Yes, I have. And all I'm going to say at this point, because I need to be very careful, because number one, you have to be careful to make sure that I don't encourage a nurse to violate HIPAA.
Correct.
The Medical Privacy Act. And I would never do that. I don't want to be in any of that kind of a situation. But as someone who has worked in various parts of the education and some of the medical areas in Indiana knows, there are ways that you can kind of finagle and work around that to basically get confirmation that a person was at a specific place at a specific time. And the only thing I can say right now on the record is it would not be very good for his political campaign to release his medical records, but yes, it would be a good thing for perhaps everyone else in the city of Indianapolis if Joe Hogsett revealed where he was, definitely at a rehab facility during the time of the riots.
Tony Kennett, investigative reporter for the Daily Signal. Can you stick around for one more quick break?
Sure.
I want to get your thoughts on the Don't Tread on Me backpack story, which is crazy. That's coming up next. It's the Hammer and Nigel Show.
Is joint pain, soreness, and achiness getting in the way of your best life? Football legend Emmitt Smith refuses to back down to pain. That's why he's a huge advocate for QC Kinetics and their natural approach to getting you relief.
Look, we get one trip around, so I wouldn't ever let pain stop me from hanging out with my race team, traveling with my family, or golfing with my friends.
Emmitt's got it right. And QC Kinetics uses regenerative medicine to relieve that never-ending pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, and back. And the best news, there's nothing foreign being introduced into your body. Just your own body's natural healing properties. No surgery or no downtime.
If pain's holding you back, maybe it's tennis, pickleball, running, hiking, or spending time with special people in your life, what are you waiting for? This is precious time. Get out there and get over to QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 317-559-PAIN. That's 317-559-PAIN. 317-559-PAIN.
$50,000 or $100,000. Yeah, that's right. $50,000 or $100,000. With Loan Pronto, you can get that right now. Hammer here from the Hammer and Nigel show from my friends at Loan Pronto, loanpronto.com. As a matter of fact, you can actually access about 90% of your home's value with very little paperwork and usually without an appraisal. Why? Because Loan Pronto is the GOAT. They're the greatest of all time. They make this so easy, so if you need cash fast, maybe you want to pay off some of those ridiculous 27% interest credit cards, or maybe you want to work on some home improvement. You want to do a little remodeling around the homestead. This is where Loan Pronto comes into play. Call Loan Pronto right now. 953-6525. 953-6525. 953-6525. Or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval.
Accidents involving cars, big trucks, and motorcycles are some of the leading causes of traumatic brain injuries, or TBIs. I'm attorney Daryl Isaacs. I know what my TBI clients are going through because I've been there myself. I suffered a traumatic brain injury after a wreck and was hospitalized for almost a month. In legal cases, every minute counts, especially with TBI cases. I've been there and I'll be there for you.
Just click to get help quick at WeWin.com.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 nerve care company. Nervive tablets contain alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, plus B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com. And try Nervive Pain Relieving Cream to block nerve pain signals at the source. Use as directed.
Ruthie, our last summer barbecue is this weekend, and it has to be epic.
Well, Total Wine has this new reposado that'll rock your barbecue. And my favorite Cabernet will make your famous ribs even famous-er.
Yes, just what my last summer barbecue needed.
Wow, and at those low prices, they'll be great for my first fall barbecue.
Ooh, I'll trade you my famous ribs recipe for one of yours.
With the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love and love what you find. Only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Family Dollar has more to help you stay ahead of the class. Stock up and save on staples like cereal, cookies, crackers, and Tyson frozen chicken. Family Dollar, helping you do more.
Pierce Jewelers is the best family-owned jewelry store in Carmel. All jewelry and watch repair, appraisals, and custom design are done in-house. Shop local, shop smart, shop Pierce Jewelers.
The latest local news, commentary from Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey, Hammer and Nigel, podcasts. Listen to the station live, whenever, wherever, online at WIBC.com.
Matt Bear has a look at the roads.
All right, Hammer South Side, eastbound 465 before Man Road. That was a stall. It is gone, and all lanes have reopened. Traffic is still stopped back to Sam Jones Expressway. Looking at eastbound 70, stop and go traffic before Harding Street to Meridian, Illinois. Inbound 65, stop and go. MLK to Meridian Penn. On the northwest side, crash clear. Northbound 465, still slow. 86th Street up to 865. Traffic sponsored by Grand Appliance. Shop Grand Appliance for unbeatable deals like premium Bosch stainless steel dishwasher starting at just $449. Learn more at grandappliance.com or a store near you. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
73 at the American Standard Cooling Weather Center at 93 WIBC.
You're listening to the Hammer and Nigel Show.
Back with Tony Kennett, investigative reporter of the Daily Signal, and coming soon, host here on 93 WIBC every evening. This story about the kid, I believe it was in Colorado, Tony, who had the backpack with the iconic "Don't Tread on Me" on it, and was basically told that you can't have that in school because racism. This story is so crazy. Take me through what you think.
Absolutely. There's a school in Colorado Springs, Colorado, in which 12-year-old Jaden Rodriguez was told that he was not allowed to wear this backpack that had a patch on the back that's the Gadsden flag, and that's what the rattlesnake, "Don't Tread on Me." And he was told, and his parents were told in a meeting that the parents wisely put a hidden camera in and recorded that this was because the Gadsden flag represented slavery and the slave trade, which, by the way, is not even remotely true at all. Came from Ben Franklin. That's where the rattlesnake imagery came from, by the way, huge abolitionist. And then later on, Christopher Gadsden, colonial Navy, basically submitted a version of the "Don't Tread on Me" flag to be the first naval jack, aka the first flag that our ships flew. But the school was, going to kick him out because he was wearing this "Don't Tread on Me" patch, which is incredible. And then there was this major national backlash. I wrote a story on it, spoke to some members of local media over there. And at this point, the school sent out like a small thing and said, well, it wasn't the "Don't Tread on Me" patch. It was actually, he had a bunch of patches that had semi-automatic weapons, and we asked him to remove them. Well, we've actually seen photos of his backpack. There were no semi-automatic weapons on there unless you count swords, like a patch for the patron Saint Michael, holding like an angel with a sword.
Right.
That was one of the patches. So I guess semi-automatic weapons include swords now, ladies and gentlemen. So that's hilarious. But then they've now doubled back on that because people got mad at them and said, wait a minute, you never mentioned any semi-automatic weapons in the meeting. You talked about slavery. So the school's changing their story yet again. Like we all don't have emails right in front of our face that tell exactly why they were mad at one of the most popular American flags in history.
And the best part about the whole situation, if you watch the video, and you can find the video anywhere on social media, because the parent recorded their interaction with the teacher, the kid is basically laughing at the lunacy that the teacher is talking about.
Yep. And by the way, folks, this is exactly why when I tell you that suburban Karens get some kind of power and then are obsessed with it, this is where it comes from. She is a member of this school, an administrator, and she is lecturing this boy and their family on things she knows nothing about. And then when they prove her wrong in the meeting and actually cite the history of the Gadsden flag, where it comes from and why, she says, well, I'm just defending a school policy. I'm just defending a school policy. And there's no policy she can point to either. So if you have staff that don't know basic U.S. history, if you have staff that cannot point to a policy for an example of why something is the way it is, for example, Mike Hanna and South Madison Community School Corporation, then you should get a better school staff. Either elect a better school board who will fire people or change schools, go somewhere where the staff respects parents and students.
What are you working on at the Daily Signal?
Actually, South Madison Community School Corporation is at it again. Mike Hanna and his cronies have been forced to kind of back off. They told the public that they were guests at the school board meeting, and the school board meeting belongs to school board members. Guess what? That's not how the law works. So writing a story on that, also some weird ways in how they addressed a sexual assault survivor. And a few other investigative stories coming out pretty soon. Out of Florida, pastor that was silenced when reading from an explicit book at a school board meeting. The country's on fire, and we've got to shine a light on it, I guess.
Keep digging. Keep doing your job, man. You're doing God's work, Tony Kennett. We appreciate you.
Thank you guys very much.
It's the Hammer and Nigel Show.
That's Faber's Bean Window. Trust me.
Are you thinking about your next home improvement project, but you need more than a window replacement? Whether it's siding, entry doors, or maybe a bath or shower remodel, design it before you buy it. That's right. B's using the latest in technology to create an architectural design so you can see our products on your house before you purchase. And for a limited time, receive 40% off all products, plus a free entry door and 20 months, no interest, no payments.
Trust me.
Do you have a wet basement problem? Are you tired of cleaning it up after every rain? Hi, I'm Mike Smith with Swain Co. Crawl Space and Basement Repair, a real local Indiana family-owned company. Even a small amount of water in your basement can lead to a huge amount of problems. Don't let your wet basement problem get worse. Call Indy's most trusted basement waterproofer, Swanco Crawl Space and Basement Repair at 317-407-1868 or swancollc.com. And ask about our easy, no-interest, no-payment financing.
Your home is your sanctuary. Get the peace of mind you deserve with a free estimate on a Generac automatic standby generator for your home from Generator Supercenter, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. With expert installation and 24-hour monitoring, Generator Supercenter won't leave you in the dark. Financing is available. Take control of your power today with Generator Supercenter. Call 317-827-0808. Generator Supercenter of Indianapolis, 317-827-0808.
Reach your savings goals. Busey Bank's CD specials can help. Watch your money grow with competitive rates and offers. Visit Busey.com/CD rates. Visit your local service center or call 1-800-67-BUSEY today. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868.
Think identity theft won't happen to you? Think again. There's a new victim every 3 seconds in the U.S., over 15 million this year alone, and many don't even know they're victims. LifeLock alerts you to identity threats you could miss, even when you monitor your credit. If your identity is stolen, your dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Identity theft protection starts here.
Hey, what's up? It's Hammer and Nigel. Stop by the Garage Food Hall in the Bottle Works